history of breakfast and where that started from. When I talked to like, I mean, this is like real breakfast. Cool, like that. Talked to it, see where it started. Look at the background for it. But yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna like fill up Denny's completely and like.
I think we should call him ahead of time.
So yeah, would fill my heart with joy. I already want chocolate. Okay. So we have 4 cooks coming anyway. So that would like hopefully that would be sweet.
The A-list cooks. There's some days you get there and it's just
Like
like,
doorman waiting for the Wheeler hoodies.
Yes.
yeah, that's what you should do. You show up with a box of t-shirts and just hand it to everybody that comes in.
That's funny.
Okay, I'll give you a,
Most people already have t-shirts. I'm like, oh,
give you a second here to settle in. Grab a coffee, a drink. Oh, that was quick. Good morning and welcome to week 5. How's everybody doing?
Very good.
Good, good. So we're going to start off like we normally do. Let's do a bullet frame. Share a success story. What went well from last week? What did you implement or struggle to implement?
Last week we went to we went to Royal Flush their grand opening.
Yep.
And Ash and I were talking about all that goes through my head was power intros.
Yes.
And I did not do it.
Oh, you did not do it.
Every time they're introduced to somebody in the back of my head, I was like, I need to refine that power intro.
Yeah.
We were walking around discussing it.
But that's good. I mean, awareness, right? Now you're thinking about it.
Well, yeah, it's really interesting to be in a room full of people that want to network and talk about. Like that would have been a great place to do that.
Yeah.
That would have been the most appropriate place to do it. But
Mhm.
we didn't, so.
And you can see how it would open up a conversation.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really great. And we're going to, next week, we're going to talk about follow-ups and referrals. And it's great to use your power intro in the conversation when you're calling somebody with a referral. So we're gonna dive a little bit more into that next week. Anybody else?
Talking about power intros, I think about it after the fact, like even going into somebody's house and just introducing yourself.
Yeah.
Like they get a reminder saying who's coming, but you don't always say, hey, I'm Jeff, or whoever.
Yeah.
So,
That being said, we should all do power intros because we can update those texts that come out of Service Titan. That would be nice to update everyone's
Yeah.
that listed.
you get rid of the other intro.
Yeah.
The long walk on the beach talk.
Yeah.
That's also nice. A balance of two maybe.
Did anybody do your homework and refine a power intro? Okay, why don't we flip?
I practiced the power intro a couple times.
Yes.
And it is like super uncomfortable. Like the societal pressure around like what do you do?
Yeah.
I run a phone account. What do you do? Like I do this. Like and then to try to like come out with like a statement of like, hey, like people can't find like competent tradespeople these days and it's all over the news. Yeah. I solved that problem.
There you go.
And it's just
That's
you
a
can
good
almost
one.
see the shock in their face.
Yeah.
When they're like, that's not what I like.
Yeah.
Like it's not what I asked.
Yeah. Well, if they say, what do you do? Yeah, you just say, do you know how?
Yeah.
What we do is,
Yeah.
right? And so I had a guy yesterday where he was same thing. He was at an event and he was like, oh my God, he tweaked it. So he's like, said it this way. And I was like, oh no, I should say it this way. And so he was going around practicing saying it different ways with different people. And he said, and that's just it because this is new and it's different. Right? So again, we go back to week 1, 7 dynamics of change. It's going to feel awkward and uncomfortable. But once you get used to it and you start, you'll actually realize how different you have conversations and how it'll slip in. And they're really good as well for marketing, right? And even on social media, if you guys do social media, like company posts and that, come up with some power intros and use them as well. Yeah, yeah. There's so many ways you can use it, for sure. Yeah.
Say here, something that I saw like an Instagram post like a month or 2 ago, and then this is on the curriculum from last week. Is the negative emotion, the positive emotion there. So sometimes we are like WhatsApp focused. Everything's in messages and chats, and it's very easy to see a message and convey it in your head how you want to convey it, not maybe how the person who put the message out there. So very often I find myself reacting with like animosity in my head towards like something that someone said. But instead I focus on being curious, having curiosity.
Yep.
Instead of,
I love that.
there.
That's
Take a
great.
pause for a bit and
Yeah.
ask me a question maybe one step further.
Well, that's the key too, is asking that question one step forward, because how we're perceiving the information completely different than how somebody else meant it. And here's an example. When I was I don't know how many years ago, in the industry, I would be very short and to the point with emails, and then I found that reading them back, I thought, oh, that could be taken in such a harsh tone, and I didn't mean it that way at all. So then it's like, then you find another email and you're kind of explaining it and softening it and everything. So now I try to read things a couple times and go, okay, how can this be perceived? What is the intent, right? So what is the intent of the post? What is the intent of the email? And focus on the intent of it. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so your power intros, do you know how? Share the problem. What we do is share the solution. I promise you, once you practice it, it'll feel really comfortable.
And I think it probably ends up getting there. I find even yesterday, like going golfing with a couple people.
Yeah.
And it was like I talked to them, what do you do? Oh, you know, I like having corporate golf tournaments or like, you know, large tournaments and some other stuff. And what the night told my playing partner goes, yeah, he says that, but what he means is that he like arranges tournaments across North America for the PGA and LPGA tour and is in charge of the Shaw Charity Classic. I went, huh. He goes, yeah, it's a slow play, and it's very interesting, like that.
Yeah.
Within different social settings, it seems like.
Yeah.
Like how people choose to introduce themselves.
Yeah.
And not like, I'm surprised how often I talk with people, and the way they introduce themselves and what they actually do are like
Completely.
completely different. Like they
Yeah.
use themselves so understated.
Yeah.
Like I'm interested to know like kind of what's behind that.
Well, it depends where some people are and where they're at, and like a status kind of thing too. Because I find that they just downplay it. They're like, yeah, I don't need to talk about all this kind of thing. So it's just their different mental, their mindset of where they are. And like for your power intros, you know, I have like I think 5 different ones. It just depends who I'm talking to and where the dynamics is. You know, if I'm talking at an event where it's a bunch of, you know, where I want to promote speaking, then I have an intro for that. If it's somewhere I want to like talk about, you know, kind of like this, where I'm talking about my sales and communications, then I talk about that. I kind of have one built around that. For my online course, I have one built around that. So it's whatever I'm talking to, and I kind of gauge the audience. So you play around with it and have a few of them just at the tip of your fingers, so you can just kind of pull out whoever you're around. Yeah, because it's not going to be the same for everybody. Yeah. And people have different problems too. And because you guys solve so many problems in like a vast, like I can't even think of all the problems. Like I don't even know all the problems you solve, right? Within your company, all the things that you can be called out to do. So that's kind of cool, because you can have so many different ones depending on, you know, what it is. You know, the home comfort, you know, the heating. Are you going to say something, Chris? Oh, okay. No, that's okay. Yeah. So let's do a little recap. Comprehensive quiz. We talked about competitive selling last week. Never what the competition. Does anybody remember? Knock. Never, yeah, knock or badmouth the competition. Yeah, exactly. Discover your customer's level of, remember? Commitment. Now, how do we do that? Does anybody know? How do we discover the customer's level of commitment? Yep, by asking a question. Asking them, I'm curious, what are 2 or 3 things that you like about the proposal or the quote from XYZ? You want to ask that one first, because what it's doing is it's setting you up for it's like priming the pump for what you really want to know. And that's the next question. What are 2 or 3 things they can improve on? Because that's what you really want to know, because that's going to be their decision-making process, where they want, that they're really concerned about. So now you've primed the pump. What are 2 or 3 things they can improve? Don't focus, like I said, on facts and features. We want to focus on benefits. My notes are sticking. And then what's most important to you with choosing a contractor to solve your problems? And now they're going to tell you. You want them kind of focusing on, okay, the conversation where it's you're here to solve my problems. And then remember, people buy for emotional reasons, and then they justify with logic, not facts and features. Or logic is the facts and features, but they buy for emotional reasons, which are the benefits and values. And what just popped into my head when you said, Eric, how you can tend to go here with like reading something. Part of that too, as I talked about last week, is how our brain filters information. It comes in, first of all, at the level, our instinct level, which is our fight or flight level. And then we process it on emotional side, and then it goes to logic. So it could be like your state of mind where you're in, so it's coming in right away, you're like, oh, okay, fight or flight, like, is this good? Do I feel good? Do I feel bad? Where do I want to go with this? Yeah. Confirmation check-in. You want to take their temperature, and that's to dive deeper into what you want to know. I'm curious, did you know that even low levels of stress and anxiety increase your mortality by 30%? I shared that statistic with you last week before we dived into labels and vocabulary.
Say, I'm not trying to stress you out, but did you know?
Yeah,
Stressed out.
yeah,
Will kill you.
yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So emotions are our messages. It's a GPS system of our body and how we feel. Guilty, if you feel guilty, look at your rules again, see if they're supporting you or sabotaging you. Angry, does anybody know what that means when you get angry?
Someone broke the rules.
Yeah, someone violated one of your rules. Good job. We're doing some quizzes next week, but I have to have a prize for you. So somebody else violated your rules. So what do? You take a look at your rules. Are they where you need them to be, or should you adjust them? Right? Are they reasonable or not? If not, change them. And the other thing is educate the other person on your rules. Let them know what they are. Can anybody tell me what frustration is a sign of? When you get frustrated about something. It's typical. Huh? It's typically, frustration's typically a sign of limited resources. It could be limited money, it could be limited staff, it could be limited time, limited parts. Frustration comes up typically when there's limited resources of some kind. Yeah, and then we talked about lessening the severity of emotions, overwhelm. Instead of like, I'm overwhelmed, just be like, oh, I'm popular today. So it's just changing it. There was a list of positive or negative emotions and then lessen the severity. Anger, peeved, lazy, storing energy. I use that one on weekends a lot now. Instead of before I used to say I'm lazy all the time, I'm like, Bernie, I'm just storing energy today, just so you know. That's what I'm doing. Frustrated, you can change to fascinated. Sick to cleansing, because the label we put on our experience becomes our experience. And I know when we're sick, we can say that over again. Oh my God, I'm sick. But what's your body actually doing when you're sick? It's fighting something off. It's actually cleansing. So if you change it to cleansing, change it to a different word. So if you're not saying I'm sick all the time, like some people literally chronically are sick all the time, and a lot of it is their mindset. So any questions from last week? You guys all been practicing the precision model? Who haven't I pulled up here yet? Eric. It's easier, like, why bother? That's okay. This is really important. Okay, so the right hand is the fluffy. Well, I'm going to ask you what the people's, and then you can give me the response. So let's do this one. What's this? The universals.
That is never, always.
Yeah, all every, never.
Every time.
Yep. That one is too much, too many,
This
too
one
expensive.
is compared to what?
Good one. That one is should, shouldn't, must, can't. We respond by.
I'm blanking.
That's okay. What would happen if? What causes or prevents?
What causes this?
And then nouns. Think of a noun. Who or what?
Who or what?
I'm helping you out. Verbs. Verbs. So think action. How specifically? There you go. Perfect. There you go. I'm bugging you.
The way you don't do it in order, that's a more trickier way to do
I
it.
know. That's why I like it, because then you got to think.
Yeah.
It'll really, honestly, guys, this is a really powerful tool. It'll change your communication big time on how you're talking. And I can tell you, Bernie, when he went through this program, this literally became his golden nugget with dealing with his staff. He's like, I can't believe how fluffy people talk. And he goes, it's like, who specifically, what specifically, when somebody come in his office, sit down and start, he's like, whoa, okay, stop. Okay, who specifically, what specifically, let's get to the point. And he said it's literally shifted his conversation. And even at home, I catch it all the time because I used to be very fluffy. And what I said, thinking he would understand what I'm saying, huge opportunity for miscommunications. Big opportunity for misunderstanding. So now I catch myself and then I'll go back and I'm like, oh, okay, I specifically, this is what I was meant by that. So, yeah.
I had a great interaction with my son 2 days ago.
Mhm.
I picked him up from school. As we're walking back, he's like, Dad, why do we always walk home? I said, oh, like we always walk home because I like exercise, right? It's not that far away. And then he's like, but I don't like walking. What don't you like about walking home, right? Then as we like crested the hill, he saw my vehicle in the parking lot. He's like, we're driving? I'm like, yeah. He's like, but you said we were walking. I'm like, no, you said we were walking. You said we always walk. He goes, well, we quite often walk. Yes, we do quite often walk, but this time we're driving. It was just so delightful. He caught his own absolutism.
Yeah,
That's great.
that's awesome. Oh my God, I love it. That's awesome. That's too funny. Oh my goodness. Okay. Can you see the slides okay, or should I turn the light off? Whoops, wrong way. Can you see that okay, or should I turn the slide off? Okay, just wanted to check. I can put this outside one on. If construction were easy, smart people would do it.
I see no issues with that.
None whatsoever, right? I have to call you back. I'm in spin class today. Okay, this next one actually really happened. Finding help's hard these days. Hired a new tech, sent him out to a job site and asked him to vacuum the drain line. I'm in a women's, part of a women's HVAC Facebook group, and somebody posted that. She goes, no, this really did happen. So I'm like, that's awesome. I'm going to share that. Okay. So we're going to start off with today because we didn't have time to finish this last week. So we're going to dive into this now. And that's reading the homeowner's body language. I know can't remember who now, had brought it up on the survey. Said you wanted me to tap on this. So here we go. So reading the homeowner's body language can be an invaluable skill set to know where you are in the conversation, understand, like, are they angry? Are they closed off? Like, where they're at. So what they're thinking or feeling. Excuse me. So the first one is facial. Oh, I guess I didn't put lines on there. Facial expressions is the first one. The face is often the most expressive part of the body. So pay attention to their eyebrows, their eyes, and mouth. Furrowed brows or scrunched up face might indicate that they're confused or concerned if they have raised eyebrows. Relaxed mouth may also indicate an understanding or satisfaction. So I used to be really good, and I used to say, oh, I have the greatest poker face, because I could sit there and you got pretty much I could have a conversation, even if I thought in my head things about you, I could totally hide it in my face. You can see. Then I noticed as I got older, my poker face wasn't so great. So all of a sudden, when somebody said something, I was like, really? Are you kidding me? Like, you just said that? All of a sudden, my face, so that's something when I started going through this, I was like, I have to really watch this too, because sometimes what I'm thinking shows on my face. So it's a good thing to be aware of that with your homeowners. Their face can tell you a lot. Eye contact. Eye contact can reveal a lot about a person. It's different levels of engagement, and you as well as a tech communicating with the homeowner, having that eye contact with them instead of looking down and, you know, not being so sure about what you're talking about. That's how they can interpret it. If you're looking down and not having eye contact with them, they can think you're not so confident in what you're talking about. So direct eye contact suggests assertiveness, and then they're interested in talking with you. Again, avoided eye contact is usually a discomfort. Oh, I guess I should be using these. Sorry, guys. Eye contact. Next one. Sorry, I thought I was using the slides. Posture. Notice how the homeowner is standing or sitting. Are they open and relaxed, or are they sitting with their arms closed? Typically when you're sitting there, and I know it's a common thing for people to sit with their arms crossed, but you're actually shutting off your energy. So if the homeowner's sitting there with their arms crossed, that can be a sign that there could be a little bit of a resistance there. So leaning forward slightly can indicate interest and engagement. Again, when I said crossing their arms, it can be defensive, but it's it's very natural. And I had one class where I knew the guy really, really well, and he's just down to earth, super great guy. But the whole course, he sat there with his arms crossed because that was his comfort, and it also can be a defense mechanism too. So just being aware of that with yourselves and as the homeowner, because if you're having a conversation with the homeowner and you have your arms crossed, that can come across to them that you're not, again, open, or you could be on defense. Next is gestures. Pay attention to the homeowner's hand movements and gestures. Fidgeting, tapping, wringing their hands might indicate nervous or impatience, especially if there's somebody who wants you to get on with the conversation or speed it up a little, like a visual person. So whether they're relaxed with their hands, so the gestures, and sometimes you can mirror back their own gestures to them as well. Next is your tone of voice. Listen to the tone and pitch of their voice. Is it calm? If it does, it suggests that they're understanding what you're saying. While a shaky, hesitant voice could like uncertainty or anxiousness, you know, they might be getting louder if they're frustrated about something. So watch your tonality of your voice. And when you're having a conversation, especially if you're going over key points of a quote, you want to make sure the tone of your voice is a little bit lower when you're going over the key points. Because if you go a little bit higher, which I know you're guys, but I know for us girls, we can tend to go higher. And when you go higher at the end of something, it makes it doesn't sound as authoritative or as important. So if you want to have an important point, make sure you like go down in your tonality at the end. And then mirroring. People often unconsciously mirror the body language of those that they're interacting with. So if you notice the homeowner mirroring your body language, it's a sign of rapport and trust. And you'll really start to notice that as you have conversations and moving and going forward, that if somebody, you know, you're sitting there and you put your arm like this or something, and then somebody else might do the same thing. There's actually a lot of unconscious mirror. I just did it and Ashley did it. There's a lot of unconscious mirroring going on in our brains. That happens a lot. And next one, changes in behavior. Be alert to any sudden changes in their behavior. For example, if the homeowner is previously engaged, if all of a sudden they're checking out of the conversation, and you can kind of tell that they're, you know, over here, or they get up, if you're at the kitchen table and you're discussing a quote and they get up to go do something, they've checked out of the conversation. This is where the questions come in, a lot of questions, where you want to start asking a question to get them engaged again. So it could be too their behavior. They could feel all of a sudden withdrawn or defensive, or they've checked out of the conversation. And I will tell you, next week I'll go over what we're going to be doing as far as role playing, but I'm just going to bring it up right now with the behavior part too. Is I noticed while we were doing exercises, a couple guys, because you're tax, and when you're having the conversation, you're asking questions, and it's all about finding out their needs and their wants. And we're talking about benefits before we dive into product knowledge and facts and features. But if you happen to find even now, this week or before we meet again, where you're having conversations and you go into that tech side and you go into more detailed of the product, then what you can do is ask them, go into something, if you're going to talk about the SEER rating or BTUs or something like that, if you're going to explain that to them, explain it in detail, but add the benefit of what that will give them, and then ask them, do you see how this benefit might help you? then that gets them engaged again in the conversation, because we can get so techie as technicians that they're checking out, and you might not even know they've checked out. So you can get them engaged back in the conversation again. So remember, interrupting body language is not an exact science. This is just kind of general rules, because it's going to be different with different cultures. So yeah. So you're going to notice that with different cultures, it will be different, right? But this is just to help you kind of understand, generically what's there. Okay. So, any questions on that? Great. Next, page 2. We're going to dive into dealing with conflict and upset people. So we've talked a lot of ways during the last 4 weeks, how to build rapport and trust and confidence as a service professional. I've given you needs diagnosed questions to ask throughout, dialogue to identify the customer's needs and wants, and you also discovered educating with wow statements and how important those are to bring them aware of a problem they may or may not know they had, or to embellish a problem. I've shared with you last week, we went into the power intro. Now, even with all of that, is it possible something could go wrong during a conversation and a call? Yeah, exactly. So how do you deal with somebody who is upset? It could be somebody's had a bad day. Is it possible they could take it out on you? Yeah. So perhaps they've had a bad experience. It could have been even with another service company. They could have some preconceived ideas. They've got these reference points because they've had a previous bad experience. But because you're a professional service professional, the customers will sometimes take it out on you, and then you can have resistance or pushback. Now, that may not be the majority, but on occasion, this can happen. So if you discover that during this training that things, or during a conversation that things diminish, it's the likelihood of how do you get that back on track? How do you get over the conflict or upset and deal with somebody who's angry about something or giving you resistance? So we're going to tap into that. Now, so the first one, so make sure here. It could be, okay, that we're going to come into, sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit here. So what we're going to do is, in a minute here, we're going to look at what are some of those upsets that you guys have come across, and we're going to make a list of those in a minute, not just yet. But it could be something as simple as you didn't show up in the time frame that they thought, and they wanted you there in a 2-hour time window, and for some reason you were late, you weren't there, whatever it may be. Or the floor got damaged. Could be a hardwood floor, something got dropped, a hot water tank got dropped and, took a chunk of their hardwood, or walls, whatever it may be. And I'm sure you guys have come across a lot of different things. The supplier gave you the wrong part, because that never happens, right? Or the wrong equipment. Product, like again, the product could be damaged, showing up damaged, a furnace could be damaged, an air conditioner could be damaged. I used to have that a lot of times where I actually had to drive air conditioners out to Okotoks and different places because they showed up damaged. So in dealing with conflict and upset challenging people, the first thing you want to do is align with them before you guide or redirect them. And we're going to go through some steps to do this. Next, avoid starting with "I understand." So you can write that in your book. You want to avoid "I understand." If they say "I'm upset," you didn't show up on time, the last thing you want to do is say "I understand." Because here's the thing. In their mind, you don't. They're angry, they're upset, you showed up late. You're just saying that to placate me. Meanwhile, I'm late taking my kid to school, or my dog's grooming appointment, or whatever it may be. It kind of shifted where they were going with the day, So for in their mind, you showed up, I'm pissed off, don't tell me you understand because you don't understand. First and foremost, for people, it's all about me. It's like me, right? So they're thinking about them, right? It's not about you. So the customer is thinking, you're the service tech, you don't understand what I'm going through. So they don't care why you're late. It's just that you made a commitment and you showed up late. So, and they're not happy about it. So you want to align with them. And how do you do that? We're going to teach you something called the agreement frame. So the agreement frame in the middle there is, I appreciate and. And then we're going to dive into what you say next. So I appreciate and. Next one, I agree and. These are 3 different things you can say. Next one, I respect and. You want to say the word and because I appreciate that we didn't meet your expectations, or I appreciate you bringing that up. You always want to start with something like I appreciate, I agree, or I respect. You can always find something you can to appreciate, to agree, or respect about. I appreciate you for bringing that up. I appreciate you feel that way. I respect you for sharing and not just getting pissed off and calling the competitor. I agree that's not acceptable, or I agree that was out of integrity for us, not keeping our commitment to show up in the time of window that we said we'd show up. So you want to align with them, not make excuses. Avoid using the words but, however, and although. Example, let's say you were late for a 2 p.m. appointment and it was a furnace quote. You got there, you got tied up at the office or the previous call, so you're late showing up. You show up to the appointment, you don't want to say, oh, I really appreciate you understanding, but. What does that sound like?
They're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, they're wrong, and but just negates what you said before that.
Yeah.
So I'll have you close your eyes for a minute. Everybody close their eyes.
You're not gonna do anything funny.
No, I won't.
Okay.
Okay, close your eyes. Honey, I really appreciate you for taking the garbage out, but now you're waiting for the other
Like you
shoe to.
said, you're gonna do it an hour ago.
You're waiting for the shoe, but you didn't put the bag in when I took out the garbage, but you dribbled on the floor. But is making them wrong. Although you appreciated them, now the other shoe is dropped and you can open your eyes now. Now you've just negated what you said by understanding.
That's all you're gonna remember too from that
Yeah,
conversation.
is the but and the front. Yeah. Yeah, because it's you forget the positive, all of a sudden now you're going to the negative, right? Yeah. So but negates what you just said. Instead of using the word but, you want to use the word and.
How would you redo that conversation with Ian?
We're going to dive into that. I'm going to show you some examples, and then you're going to practice. But great question. Thank you for asking. So but builds walls and builds bridges. I appreciate you and, I respect you and, I agree and. Then you go on to whatever you want to say, and I'm going to have some examples here. There's always something you can, and I will say always, universal, that you can appreciate, agree, or respect about someone.
The thing to remember too is like when someone says like, you're late, you said you'd be here at 10 o'clock, and you go, yeah, I agree, but like, it really invalidates their concerns.
Yes.
You invalidate their concerns.
Yeah.
You invalidate them as a human being. And when
Yes.
you say with but, it sounds like a word, but you say, you actually don't matter.
Mhm.
And that's the feeling that gets evoked when someone goes, well, yeah, you're late, right? I had places to be. Oh, I understand, but there's all this traffic. And like that undertone of you don't actually matter.
Yeah.
And that's why the conversation turns toxic. And that's what's happening at that. But subconscious level.
That's exactly it.
You think you can still bring up the traffic without using the word but? Like, I agree, there was traffic, I'm still wrong.
My general experience with having fucked up so many times in my life, the easiest thing to do is I'm sorry.
Yep.
Right? I'm late. Like you're late. I'm super sorry. It's like I wasn't able to drop off my kids. I'm really sorry that you have to I'm really sorry that you had to go rearrange your childcare because I was late.
Yeah.
Right? The only time it's really important that I found is if they say, well, why were you late? Like, how could you be late?
Yeah.
Right? That's a great opportunity, and then even then to clarify, would you like to know why I was late?
That's exactly
Because
what yep.
They might not give two shits.
That's exactly it. You want to clarify, yeah, we're going to talk about that.
You wanna know?
Yeah,
No, I don't give a shit why you're
Yeah.
late.
you're late. I'm pissed.
Just save yourself the energy.
Yeah.
So what it invites is a very strong defensiveness.
Yeah.
So tell me it was traffic. Arthur.
John, sorry I'm late. It's like traffic.
Arthur, is there usually traffic when you drive from the shop, like all the way to Signal Hill, and you're at a 9 o'clock appointment?
I was gonna say, I have to say, traffic is probably the worst thing that a homeowner wants to hear. They're gonna be like, I really don't care. You should have gauged for that. You should have known. You're a service tech. You're driving around the city all day. You know there's traffic. Everybody knows, and I will say everybody knows there's accidents on Deerfoot. Even coming, maybe not everybody, but I'll go up Stony in the morning even to come here. Even though I leave my house at 6:30 in the morning, I still go Stony. So it just depends. But they don't care. That's the whole point. They just don't care. Yeah.
You just invalidated my number one excuse.
But you know what? You just said it right there. Excuse. They don't want to hear excuses. That right away can put them in a resistant state of mind, right? It starts off with putting them in a resistant state of mind. Anything from there or not anything, but some part of the conversation from there can totally go downhill. It's yeah. So but builds walls and builds bridges. There's always something you can appreciate about them. They may say something simple. They may not actually be angry, but they may feel like it's a situation where you've misled them with something that could create a conflict and an upset as well. I thought you were coming out here to service my unit, and now you're trying to sell me a new unit. So that's a situation where they could feel misled. I thought I just needed a tune-up. Now I'm buying something else. Now I have to spend money. Are you kidding me? Right? Bet you don't hear that one at all. I thought I was gonna get a $5,000 unit. Now you're saying because I want to cool the mother-in-law suite over my garage, it's gonna be $7,000. Like what? Is John smiling? I'm like, you probably heard all of these, right? Now they're upset, right? The hot water tank is 8 years old. When they installed it, they told me it would last 15 to 20 years. What the heck? Did you maintain it? No. Right? All kinds of things there, right? I respect you for sharing that information, and it's just a way to calm them down. I respect, I appreciate, I agree. Thank you for sharing that info. I respect you for sharing that information. So this is a way of just calming them down. It's a way to align with them. So look at it this way. When you align with them, it's your chance to dance. If you don't align with them, you're not even on the dance floor. You don't stand a chance at all. So you want to align with them. It's a chance for you to smooth things out a little bit with them. And we're going to dive into some examples as well. So seek understanding before being understood. I'll say that again. Seek understanding before being understood. So what does this look like? We're going to use what's called the communication bridge. This is your
Last thing you just said.
what? Seek understanding before being understood.
Yeah, okay, that's what
Yeah. So the communication bridge is a chance to dance. It's a chance to align with them, to dilute the upset, the frustration, the challenge, the conflict. So the first step is to apologize for the impact. Now, if you notice when you say, I apologize for any negative impact, you're saying, I'm apologizing for the impact, the policy. You're not apologizing for the price. You're not apologizing for a recommendation. You're apologizing for any negative impact that it may have caused the upset. We're going to dive in again to some examples here in a minute. So you're not taking responsibility for what you said or did. You're apologizing for the negative response that it had on them because they're responsible for how they interpreted it. Number 2, let them know it was not your intent or your intention. You did not intend for this to happen or for them to feel this way. You didn't do it on purpose. You obviously didn't do it on purpose. You didn't. So you don't want to give it too much energy because where energy goes, attention flows. So you don't want to give a lot of energy to what happened to the negative side of it. I didn't intend to upset you. I literally shared that if you wanted these 5 zones in your house to be cooled properly, you need a bigger unit. I didn't intend to make you upset. I literally wanted to resolve what was necessary to honor your request to have all 5 zones heated. And we're going to dive into some more examples here because you guys are going to be practicing this. Next, never make excuses. They rarely care to know the reason, and most excuses are attempt to shift responsibility or to make you right, as Jeff said, and them wrong. Whatever you say will sound like an excuse, so take the high road and move on. Don't go there. The last thing you want to do is start telling them all the excuses, making up what you want, or start telling them if it's a unit and they're talking about price, is dive into the facts and features here. You don't want to dive into the facts and features here. They don't really care at this point. Anything you say at this point, it's going to sound like an excuse. So you're trying to make the excuse, you're trying to make an excuse for what you said or done, and they're going to say, I don't really care. I don't care. Next, get permission, as John had mentioned, to offer some background as to why this might have happened. Example, Curtis, I want you to know when you told me I was going to be around $5,000, now you're coming up with a $7,500 quote. I'm not happy about that. And then you can say, would you like some background information as to why? And now you're, go ahead, John.
It's so critical. Like, do you offer information first, or do you ask them if they want information before you offer it?
Say it again?
Do you give them the information first of why the price changed, or do you ask them if they want to know first?
I would ask if they want to know first.
Why is that important?
We don't always see the topics what they call.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah.
Just builds trust in the conversation you're having.
Which client will be more receptive to listening? The client who wants to know, or the client who doesn't want to know? Right.
Certainly.
And that's why you waste your time with someone who doesn't want to know. And it's just important to clarify. If they don't want to know, save your breath.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So offer that if it comes up. Would you like some background information as to why you think that was, or why this came up, or would you just like to move towards a solution and make sure that you get what you need?
The other thing too, that inside of that conversation, it reframes the conversation back to the client. The
Yeah.
client makes it all about you. You're like, you did this, you did this.
Yeah.
You like to know why.
Yeah.
And then it will freeze them in that moment, because they're gonna get out of it, this is all about you, and they're gonna go, huh, do I wanna know? Right? And
Yeah.
it causes it actually is a complete shift, a potential shift in the conversation, and the tone and an element of trust. So
Yeah.
that question is so critical to pause and ask, because you can reset the entire interaction.
Yeah. Exactly. And then next, discover a solution. Share what you're willing to do to resolve this, or find out what must happen for them in order to correct it. People care less about something that happened than they do about correcting it and solving the problem. Here's a way you can say it. You were curious as to why the quote jumped from 5,000 to 7,500. Would you like some background information? And they say yes. Great. Then you share with them your product knowledge and why it went up and why you had to go from this unit to this unit. Example, we went from a 3-ton to a 4-ton to include cooling your mother-in-law suite, which was very important to you, that when they come this summer that it's nice and cool and that they're comfortable while they're staying here. Or you added these features, right, to honor the request, not to do 3 to 4 zones in the house. You had to add more ductwork. So now you're offering that information. So bringing it all together, there are some examples in your book. First one is, Roger, I apologize for any negative impact this may have caused you. That certainly was not our intent, and there's no excuses for this. Because we are very professional in what we do, let's move forward to discover what must be done to find a solution to make this work. Sound fair? And now they're going to tell you. Another example is, Tony, I apologize for any negative impact this might have caused you. It certainly wasn't intentional, And rather than focusing on how this happened, let's work towards finding an equitable solution. Sound fair? Right? And it just diffuses them. I had a gentleman yesterday. They're actually in week 6. So yesterday, they learned this last week. He had a really upset customer. He's like, oh my God, Shauna, I used the communication bridge. He goes, she went from DEFCON 5 to down here. He goes, it was able to change the conversation around. And he goes, they signed and I got the deal right there. He goes, had I not been able to diffuse the situation, and then how can we resolve this? He said, I don't think we would have got it because she was just so up here. So he was really excited. He goes, this really works. Like, yeah. The more you practice it, and you can come across a lot of upset customers for different reasons. Here's another one. Jane, I apologize for any negative impact this may have caused you. It certainly wasn't our intention to scratch the hardwood floor. There's no excuse for this. Because we're very professional in what we do, let's move forward and discuss a way or discover a way that we can find a solution. Does this sound fair? And it could be even, I know some companies have a flooring guy, that then they send out a flooring guy. We can have our flooring guy contact you or whatever it may be. But do you see how it diffuses it and it changes it? Another example, Susan, I apologize for any negative impact this had for the primer dripping onto your washer that may have caused you. That certainly wasn't our intent, and there's no excuse for this because we're very professional in what we do. We'll send someone out to take care of this. Does that sound fair?
I'm gonna read these. One thing I'm not sure if would be good to add. It sounds like you're just trying to like you're acknowledging their impact and hurt. It sounds a little bit too like we're gonna just move forward. Would it be advantageous to use the word because we're professional going to like I'm hoping we can move forward. Like I'm hoping. It's more of like an invitation instead of just like let's move forward. Sound like I know you're asking like fair at the end, but I feel like you've already kind of said like moving forward. Sound fair? And like they're kind of that's how I read this.
Like, get over it.
It's your tone and how it is, and you can even say like an equitable solution where you're working together. It's your tone and how you say it as well, and how you're going to receive it. If you're saying we're hoping to move forward, it's like you're showing a hesitant, like I don't know if this is going to work or not, right?
For
so
sure, an invitation.
So you want to be
no,
yeah, and then also depending how the conversation goes, right? Where if they want to know why this happened, like if you ask them permission, then you can go into it and then go from there. So yeah, these are some examples, and you can tweak them how you want. Like definitely, these are examples. What you guys feel comfortable with. It's just there's the template to kind of, this gives you a template to follow because we want to get them moving forward. We don't want them stuck in the problem, and we don't want them to all of a sudden bring up a whole bunch of objections. But yeah, does that make sense? Does that feel good? But you can change, like word it what works for you. These are sample wordings, but just make sure the wording you put in, whatever word you choose, doesn't make it sound like you're like, I hope we can solve this. I hope we can move forward. Like you're in a place where you're feeling not so sure. You want to make sure that you're confident and soft in the conversation because you want to have compassion, right? Yeah. You want to be very much compassionate because you want to connect with them on this, right? So have empathy and
Is that, sorry about that.
no, it's okay.
I was gonna say, like, that, the way you can word it too is to open up to be like, what their kind of solution would be within that as well.
Yeah,
Like,
you can ask them,
okay,
yeah.
You know what, like,
Yeah.
I would really like to move forward. What would
Yeah.
make you feel
Yeah.
comfortable
Yeah.
moving forward? with
I
this
wouldn't
forward?
say I would like to move forward.
It would be,
Yeah.
And I'll say, just in general, like from a wheeler perspective,
Yeah.
just don't use the term move forward.
Yeah.
It's pushy.
Okay.
And so it's like,
Okay.
because we're a very professional company, like,
how can we
like
solve this?
what needs to happen next, right? In order to.
Oh, sorry, mind your way.
What do we do next to find a solution that's going to make this work?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it is that invitation, right? Because they have the opportunity. Some people just want to have me for a little bit longer. And they're not quite ready to move on, right?
And then I think that also gets their kind of solution out there instead of you trying to guess what would fix it. Hey, can I give you a discount? Hey, can I fix your hardware? Hey, can I do whatever? Where
Yeah.
they'll tell you what you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like, I mean, I like this, like, because we're a very professional company in what we do, right? Like, let's discover what we need to do now for a solution to make this work.
Is it the right time to talk about how very professional you are after you fuck something?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Professional companies stand stand by their mistakes.
Yeah.
Like any idiot can fucking install something right once. Like, have you ever made a mistake?
Yes.
Right? You made a mistake. Right? Does it feel good when you stand in front of somebody, right, and you tell them that you made a mistake, and then you start opening up your wallet to pay for it? Right? Like when you drag, like when you have a guy who drags a dishwasher down a flight of stairs, right? Right, and smashes the rail, like the cover
Yeah.
on the tile on all 13 risers, right?
Just
All
for-
13 risers, right? And then you stand in front. Like, so does a professional company go back there, stand in front of that client, get hammered for an hour and a half about how stupid we are, right? And then offer to pay for it? Would a professional company do that, or would an unprofessional company do that? Exactly. What would an unprofessional company do?
Try and get, not call them back.
Exactly.
Run.
Run.
Hey, we're a professional company. Doesn't look professional. I agree with you.
Yeah.
You're like, this mistake isn't professional, and we're going to take care of it.
Yeah.
What would you like to see from us? For us to take care of it?
Yeah.
Like, I want a brand new washing machine. What do you say to that? I'm going to call my boss.
Yes.
Thank you for telling me. Definitely don't say yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to call my boss.
Yeah.
Right? Not a, like, I will call him right now. Right? And they've given you, like, they set the standard.
I'm gonna have a video chat right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that is, right? Like, it is, but really anchor, like, you guys all make mistakes, right?
You're human.
It's okay, yeah, you're human. I tell people all the time, I was like, most of my staff are human beings.
Yeah.
And they look at me as if I'm stupid, right? I'm like, no, really think about that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we drop prime on your dryer. And like, why would you do that? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm with you, right? I'm very confident if I went to go ask Devin why he did that, he would tell me it was an accident.
Yeah.
Right? Right, so it's really angry. It is that. Because
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're assuring them that we're not going to walk away.
I see it now.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not-
Yeah.
It seems pushy, so I get it.
It's super. It is pushy because they will fight back.
Yeah.
Right? And like Paul Lassard, you guys ever had the privilege of going there? He goes, John, tell me more about doing it right the first time. As we were ripping up his front driveway because we didn't connect the snow melt from one side of the driveway to the other. Right? So would a professional company do that? Right? Does a professional company do it right the first time? Is that the standard that a professional company should be held to? Who here is willing to be held to the standard of doing it right the first time? Yeah, great. So that's why we have that in our van.
Yeah.
Because it turns out, right, that like the professional company is one who comes back and spends the $14,000 ripping up people's driveways, right, and reconnecting it and getting it done right eventually.
Yeah.
Which also isn't on the side of the van, because that also doesn't sound good. So it's helping the client understand the difference between like
Yeah.
the professional company absolutely does it right the first time, and also the professional company honors their mistakes
Yeah.
and makes it right to what the client's expectations are,
That's key.
right?
Yeah.
And it's two different definitions of professional,
Yeah.
and it's really leaving like that. Yep, we clearly weren't professional when we did this, and we're not going to abandon you.
Yeah.
And that might be a different way, because we don't abandon our clients,
Mhm.
right? We're not going to leave you with this mistake.
Yeah.
Right? What do you want from us? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be in the community.
I had Curtis and I went to a customer maybe 2 weeks ago, a week ago. We caused some damage after an install, and that was one of the things that the customer at the end of the conversation ended up letting us know that it was the fear of abandonment. Like,
Yeah.
he mentioned that he'll pay us, but he's worried about us not coming back to take care of what we damaged. So it was good to hear, and he was pretty upfront. It was actually a really easy conversation with him, letting us know that
Yeah.
I will pay you half what we the install, 25% of what we're after we get a repair booked in.
Yeah.
And then the rest when the repair's done.
Nice.
I thought that was
Nice.
It was all about abandonment.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. Yeah. Because it's probably happened before to them.
He said
And-
exactly that.
yeah. Now they've got that reference point, and that's stuck, and that's just it. That's such a great point, and goes back to the very beginning where we talked about beliefs and reference points and that table and the legs. It's all people's experiences. It has absolutely nothing to do with you guys. It's everything about them and what they've experienced in the past that's now going to trigger them.
The cool thing is that we're providing more
Yes.
More work with us than as it really deterred.
Yeah.
Why?
We gained their trust.
Exactly.
Why, Gabriel?
Because we gained their trust.
Right? Why, Devin?
Because we gained their trust.
Sunny?
Because we gained their trust.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Excellent. So, what are some of the things that you guys get pushback for? What are some of the things people get upset about? Pardon?
Prices, but
Yeah.
that's it. It could be anybody. You can give them. Yeah. Some people just want to argue, not argue, but be
Yeah.
contrary.
So on page 5 of your manual, you can go ahead there. We'll take a few minutes here and write out some of the upsets. Could be didn't show up on time, stained the carpet, it could be money, whatever it is. Then write out how you're going to write out some upsets, write at least 3 upsets, and then how you would respond to those, given what we just talked about. This is definitely where less is more and more is less when you're writing it out. And it can be easy as when you're responding to, I apologize for any negative impact this may have caused you. It wasn't our intent. There's no excuse. Here's what we're willing to do. Let's focus on a solution or work together on a solution.
Yeah.
Here's how we should respond.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So then everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you another minute. Who would like to go first and share? Let's have a discussion. Share what the upset is and then what your response would be. Do you want to be volunteer or do you want to be voluntold? Arthur?
My first one, this was actually quite hard, so actually, I was only able to get through one, but first thing that came to mind was, we just installed an expensive system, why do I have to spend more? My response has been or would have been, I appreciate the amount of money you have spent and having to spend more into the system. We are providing the best solution for your expensive system to operate optimally and give you a peace of mind in your expensive system.
John. I'm waiting.
Like, not being skilled enough to fix something and needing to ask for help. Right? And then having that conversation with the client. Because it appears to be a violation of like professionalism, right? We send someone on the site, they go, listen, this isn't exactly my thing, I'm gonna call someone. Don't you know what you're doing? And then talking about this, like, it's like, hey, you know what? We thought I reached my, like, we thought that this would be within my skill set. And like, this isn't the best part about Wheeler. We have other guys here who have skills in different areas.
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna call him. Right? And identifying the strength of the team versus the strength of Wheeler is not in the individual, but it's in the strength of the group.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I just see you still writing. Did you have more you wanted to add to that, Arthur? Or?
No, but, yeah. That was kind of a conversation I've had many times.
Okay. Yeah.
How would you respond to someone getting mad that their appliances, their high efficiency only last in 13 years versus their old appliance in Canada where it's lasting, let's say, 30? How would you respond to that? Because like he kind of brought up the issue, but I don't know how to respond to that.
So
He's
there.
pissed off at the quality of new appliances.
Oh.
And he kind of had an attitude like you're telling me I gotta spend $5,000 every 10 years on a new furnace.
Yeah.
That was kind of the attitude he had.
How would you handle that?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Straight up, yeah.
Straight
Yeah.
up, yes. And then just pausing. That's
Yeah.
what he says.
Yeah.
Right? So if you go, like, so tell me that.
My high efficient or my mid efficient in Canada was lasting me 30 years. I haven't done a thing to it, and I gotta spend $5,000 on new furnace in 10 years.
Yep. Like, would you like to know anything beyond that?
I guess not.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. I would. Why?
Oh, okay. Why?
Why? Now, keep in mind that, like, I run a plumbing company in Calgary, right? Where I'm a field tech, so I'm not privy to all the information I get. But what my experience is, the smartest people that work for these companies are in their warranty and R&D department.
Yeah.
If they say that this appliance they're going to back with a 10-year parts and labor warranty, that's because they know through their testing, this is going to last 10 years. And if they thought it would last 12, they'd market with a 12-year warranty. The smartest people work for these companies and they figure out how thin to make these heat exchangers, how like every component they strip every single dollar of that added value out of it because it's more of a commodity. And so now that, in my opinion, that's decreased the life expectancy to all of these products.
Yeah.
Is there, do they offer products that have extended warranty?
Like, the short answer is yes. And
But it's
generally
only with like
speaking,
guaranteed proof of doing regular maintenance?
even then, like I am unfamiliar with any manufacturer who has a warranty on a furnace for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? They said, oh
Yeah.
this furnace breaks 19 years from now, we're gonna swap it.
Or even the 30-year-old furnace didn't have a warranty that was 20 years old.
No.
Like, what were the warranties on Metafish back then?
But do you know why they didn't have 30 years? Like they didn't put like long warranties on there?
They didn't need them.
They just over-engineered it and hope for the best.
Yeah,
Right.
they over-engineered it. They didn't know.
Yeah.
Now, like all these kids who go to school to become like product and like high level education, what that's done is that it's stripped all of the value out because they know to the fraction of an inch how thick that heat exchanger needs to be, right? And so as a because
Yeah.
they can save like $9 on the production of that, multiplied out by 15,000 units per year, right? And they figured out that if they save that $9, that the end user will buy that furnace, right? Like if you ever
Yeah.
guys notice the difference in the hot, like what's the primary difference between a Bradford White hot water tank and what used to be an older John Wood? Not much. The brass drain valve,
Yeah.
right? How much more expensive is a brass drain valve than a plastic piece of shit single use?
Yeah.
It's probably $4, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which when you're buying a hot water tank for $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000, $4 doesn't move the needle. But when you manufacture like
Yeah.
10,000 hot water tanks a day, $4 is $40,000 per day.
Yeah.
Right? Multiply that out by your product runs of 200 days. It's $8 million
Yeah.
for drain them. And that's why the John Wood ones come with most one, and that's why the Bradford ones don't. And so that it's helping, but it really is like anchoring. Like
Yeah.
their experience is true. It will their furnace that they put in.
Yeah.
The high efficiency furnace they put in today will absolutely not last as long as the one that was installed in their house in 1985.
Yeah.
Like, and if they have any questions, you can tell them to call. And
Yeah.
My boss is super passionate about this.
Yeah.
Actually. You can call him if you want to talk to him about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? And it's like, but really empathize with the client.
Yeah.
And acknowledge his reality as being correct.
Yeah.
Are you telling me I'm gonna have to spend $5,000 for
Mhm.
10 years?
Yes.
Yeah. And if you don't, those are gifts.
Yeah.
I tell them that.
What Keenan actually
I like
talking about was our last client of the day yesterday, and he was actually quite surprised that we did tell him that, yeah, unfortunately, these new appliances are not lasting as long as the old Metafish ones. And he was quite taken back that we're not backing that up. But he's hopefully going to sign off today. He seemed pretty confident in it, and he doesn't really want to go for repairs. So
What was the estimate for?
first,
What did your answer provide? Like like while he was surprised, what did your answer, what feeling or what emotion then, what you felt after you acknowledged his reality?
Mm-hmm.
that we're not shysters for sure,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that his assumptions are correct because he's a smart guy, and we're not trying to just pull one over on him.
And so we're not shysters and we're not
Yeah.
trying to pull one over on him.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, what does that mean for him and his relationship with you?
You can trust us.
And hopefully in 10 years he'll buy a new furnace.
Yeah.
And
Egg.
trust us, right?
He's a gorgeous system too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite systems.
Yeah.
It's a I don't know.
Good example, team.
I was gonna say because that probably comes up a lot for you guys.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
I didn't
How-
have
great
how long's
example
the
of how to
furnace gonna
handle it.
last?
Yeah.
How long's the boiler gonna last? 10 years.
Replacement price, how long is this for?
So
Yeah.
I tell people, if you want the Wheeler version of this, how much is the manufacturer going to warranty it for?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
5 years.
how long
parts.
is a boiler going to last? And if you're telling me it's going to last 10 years, you could be very specific on what's going to last 10 years. Is it the inducer fan?
Yeah. No.
Is it the heat exchanger?
No.
Yes.
Maybe.
It is. Because the heat exchanger, they put generally 20
Ah,
year warranties on
yeah.
it. Right? Like, and boilers have a significantly less warranty than furnaces. Right? Like when you read that manual, you could, right?
Yeah, just think about it, like, parts are 5 years.
5 years.
So that makes a point of saying, yeah, that part's gonna fail within 5 years.
Yeah.
How How do we know that? They have smart people working there, man. If they thought this was gonna last 10 years, they would probably write that down, because that would
Yeah.
be a competitive advantage.
Oh, would be.
Everybody puts 5 on their literature.
Yeah.
And furnaces are different, right? So when we have times, well, so like, based on that sentence, what's more reliable, a furnace or a boiler? Furnace. Exactly. Right? You gonna spend more money maintaining a boiler or a furnace? Boiler. These are facts, right? And as we understand them from the manufacturer, we're just reading their literature and
Yeah.
like helping the client understand, because we barely read these things. The end user client is absolutely not reading them except for burnout. Yeah, exactly. So, but guys, like, not being afraid to be honest and
Yeah.
talking about your experience. And that is what they're paying us for.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
They can go online and find out that high efficiency furnaces last forever, they're great, and next best thing, they're gonna save tons of money.
Yeah.
You're there to help go, no, your experience is correct, this is what you can budget for, this is what you can plan for, is there anything else
Yeah.
you're interested in?
Actually, I love that you just said budget and plan for.
Budget and plan for.
Yep. Definitely. That's good to add in.
Because I tell people too, it's
Yeah.
like, if I have a hot water tank in my house, it's 10 years old, should I replace it?
I wouldn't put money into it.
Agreed, right? So don't put money into it. What I tell people is, like, that hot water tank's gonna be $1,600 to replace, or $2,000 to replace. Take $2,000 in your brain and mentally allocate that to your hot water tank.
Yeah.
Go invest it. Go do something
Yeah.
else with it. And one day when your hot water tank fails, take that money that you've already spent and put it in your hot water tank. The money is gone, right?
Yeah.
Right. But every year you get after this is free.
Yeah.
Right. And you might get another 10 years out of it. Is that possible? You have a 10-year-old hot water tank, you get another 10 years.
Yeah.
Is it also possible that if you back out the driveway fails? Anything between those is what the client can expect.
Yeah.
And is anybody, have you ever met someone who can predict the failure date of a hot water tank or furnace? Right? And so don't.
Yeah.
Right? You have no idea.
Yeah.
And it'd be unreasonable for a client to expect that we do know. Right? Well, you should be able to tell me if my furnace is gonna break. No. I put my meter on. Like, it looks fine.
Yeah.
We're good. They read the menu. This is what it says to look out for. Right? Everything that you're saying, like that your furnace is doing, is within the parameters.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It means that right now at this moment, it's in parameters. And that's all it means.
You do maintenance on Monday and then Friday, it's like, the same whole thing shits the bed.
You ever had that happen? Since being a wheeler?
Not that quick, but
Oh, we've had it.
I'm sure it has
Like,
happened.
you've had it.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened to you.
I was gonna say John's probably experience.
Your guy was just here and it was fine. Yes, he was just here and it was just fine. How could this happen?
Maybe that guy that was
no
complaining,
idea.
Yeah.
30-year-old furnace is gonna shit the bed soon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, there's no substitute for just acknowledging people's
Yeah.
reality. Right? And especially if they're right.
Yeah.
Your guy was just here and it was fine. Yes, it was. Then it broke as soon as he left. Yeah. That's horrible timing. I'm with you, man. That is
Yeah.
horrible timing.
Yeah.
Right? What do you want to do? Like, what do you want from us? Like,
Yeah.
How can we move forward with this?
That's exactly it, right? That's where you apologize for negative impact. How do you move forward?
Yeah.
But I love the way that you said to budget and plan.
Yeah.
Plan and budget for it. I used to do that with my truck with tires.
Yeah.
Because I would put on easy 100,000 K or more every 2 years with my territory. So I knew every couple of years I need tires. I would put away a certain amount of money every month. That was my tire fund. So when it came time, it was not a big hit. I had the money sitting there. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Anybody else want to share? Let's get a couple more responses.
I got one.
'Kay.
This is still the questions we came up with?
Yeah.
Why is this taking 2 weeks longer than it was quoted? Or why is this taking a couple hours longer than it was quoted? Which I've heard before for sure. I respect your time and just wanted to inform you, and then you can go into whatever, like we just lost a team member or we've had emergency calls come in, so someone had to go do that instead of coming to your house today.
That's making excuses.
Can I share a story to that?
Yeah, sure.
No, like, did finish.
Yep, go ahead.
I finished.
Yeah.
Did you hear what she said?
Oh, let her finish. Oh,
Oh.
Did you hear what her response was?
I'm making excuses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
They don't,
Yeah.
they don't care.
Um,
How do you think you can reword it? Let's do this as a group, because this is a good one. I think this is a good one to dive into. So let's dive into this as a group.
You could hit them with due to unforeseen circumstances or something.
excuse.
Another excuse. Yeah.
We apologize for wasting your, for taking your time a little longer than we expected.
Yep.
What we can do to help this situation is to make it, have another guy on site just to speed some things up, and hopefully we can get this process a little faster.
Yeah.
And just kind of focus on solutions instead of recent problems.
Exactly. Apologize for the negative impact, move towards a solution of rectifying the issue of what happened. Do you want to add into that?
No, that's great, Chris. I think you watched that situation unfold that day.
Did you?
With that customer.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
Check what they did.
Yeah.
Well, Joanne Adele.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I forgot about that one.
that's how you diffuse it.
Who
Be-
diffused it? Did you diffuse it? No, I didn't.
No.
What did you say? That I apologize for misquoting my time at the time.
Mhm.
And that I will be looking forward to getting more guys on site to get this completed.
Yeah.
And then gave her an honest timeline of, so they're gonna do this.
And the best part about that was she was not upset about extra, but paying extra, but more upset just about her own time.
Yes.
Yep.
That was the craziest part.
'Yep.
'Cause who cares?
And did you
Yep.
intentionally screw over, like in this quarter time, or was it an honest mistake? It was an honest mistake. Yeah.
Right.
Right?
She was like,
Give me air.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I remember the phone call.
Yeah.
That's in the McDonald's parking lot in Mackenzie.
Yeah.
They called, and like I screwed up. Like Joanne, you're gonna get a phone call from Joanne. I told her we'd be able to redo their entire control system in their house in a week. Okay. So like, how did you come up with that? And he told me, I was like, wait, just think about this. How long? What's a reasonable timeline to to swap out a normal thermostat to a Techmark and VNet? We've done that before. How long is reasonable?
Maybe hour and a half.
What's that?
1 hour and a half.
An hour and a half.
Yep.
Perfect. Right. So we went an hour and a half. Right. Times
22.
I think there's 40 some zones in that house.
Holy.
Right?
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So for using that, right, that's 60 hours. How many hours in a week?
40.
40. Right?
Work hours
And
for
it
you.
was interesting, right? Like a week sounds like a long time,
Yeah.
right? And it was a legitimately honest mistake. Like Arthur is a smart guy. Like he
Yeah.
knows these things. As we walked through, right, like just on an individual by individual, like
Yeah.
part of the job, right? And he's like, oh my god, like, yeah. It was like, and just go back and tell him that. And it's the easiest one. Is like, yeah, swapping one of these out is an hour and a half, right? You have 42 of them. That's 60 hours. I don't know how I came up with 60, like with a week.
42 thermostats.
Holy crap.
In a house?
Yeah. Right? And but like, there's no substitute, right, for just like owning your mistake.
Yeah.
Right? I screwed up. How could you do that? I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is easily a 3-week job. I don't know how I came up with engineering stuff. I know how I did it. I thought we could do it faster. I didn't break it down on a task by task basis. And after I did, I realized, man, I screwed up when I told you a week. This is easily a 3-week job. And there's only some of these components that can become faster at putting more people on. Right?
And then the thing with Joanne is, she didn't even care to want to hear what happened.
Yes.
What am I doing going forward?
Yep.
How am I getting out of her house quicker?
Yep.
That was her.
Yep.
Nice.
That's what they want. They want the solution, and yeah.
And are they still clients in Wheeler? Yeah. Have we made mistakes in their house?
Yes.
Like lots of mistakes. Lots of mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? Like, long-term relationships and trust is not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It is about owning mistakes. Right? What's the time frame on how long Wheeler is willing to own a mistake for?
For a long time, forever.
At least 10 years we figured out. Right? Right? We nailed a pipe 10 years ago at their house on their underslot system, and it didn't leak for 10 years.
Oh wow.
Right? And then Arthur got the privilege of standing over top of that with the homeowners as they discovered that it was a staple in the pipe. And my understanding is the homeowners looked at Arthur and went, "Can you explain to me how that's my fault?"
But I mean, in the end, they paid for half.
Yeah.
It wasn't completely like, yeah,
Yeah.
you negotiated that well, and it wasn't like, yeah, this is our mistake. Yeah, initially it is, but again, the expectancy of it lasting how long and
Yeah.
the damage it caused. Okay, how are we going to come to a solution that benefits both parties?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what we did, because Arthur called me, and like at a certain point in time, guys, like you're not there to negotiate. You're like, we damage something, unless it's something like very, very small, you're gonna kick that up the chain. That's one thing that I'm always proud of Arthur when he calls me. He's like, "Hey John, this is what we discovered." I'm like, just ask Jim if he's okay if like volunteers, 100% of the time and material it took to like troubleshoot the problem, diagnose the problem, find like expose the problem, fix the problem, right?
Yeah.
So we pay for all of that.
Ah.
We'd be willing to pay for the drywall and tile and paint.
Oh, there you go. That's reasonable.
Tough negotiation.
No,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's reasonable.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
reasonable, right? 10 years
Yeah.
later, like,
Yeah.
so, like Alberta New Home Warranty is 2 years.
Yeah.
So, like, we're warranting something that we did wrong very clearly through negligence.
Yeah.
Right? 8 years past warranty, and it was a very easy negotiation, right?
Yeah.
And going back, like, that's what professional companies do,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Right?
Keeps coming back to that.
That, like,
It's
an
what-
unprofessional company would go, the warranty's 2 years.
Yeah, you're done. Too bad. So sad.
Can we kick it back to Gabe?
Yep.
Like, I'll go from what your experience is. Like, if you were to go auger a drain,
Yep.
and you're going down and passing through a sewer, and you've done it 3 times and you're 2 hours in, and you go to the customer, you've done it in an hour. Like, how would you have done that?
I don't understand what the question is.
So you go to a call,
Yeah.
block sewer,
Yep.
you auger the drain,
Mhm.
you keep on passing,
Now
we're
we're
not getting any movement. You told the customer you're gonna be done in an hour, and now you're 2 hours in.
yeah. I mean, you just gotta tell them sometimes that's the way she goes. I guess.
But what would you say? How would you say it? So if aside from saying that's not how it goes, how would you professionally say like something's going on here? Because at that point you would know that there's something major.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to explain to them that there's, you can't always know. There's likely something significant going on in the drain. You can't always know when you're quoting.
So what's your solution? What would your solution?
You could also say, if I can interject here for a minute, you can apologize for any negative impact that this taking longer has caused. Would you like to know why? And then if they say yeah, then you can go
If
into,
not, then-
here's what happened, here's a solution.
Right.
Right. Because you want to diffuse what they're first pissed off about.
Right.
And that's that it's taken longer. Then you want to ask them, get permission to, if they want to know why it happened,
Right, then you can explain.
and then here's the solution moving forward.
Gotcha.
You don't want to give them an excuse. Yeah. Because
Unless
that,
they give you permission to give them an excuse.
yeah, well, if they say why, then you're going to tell them why, right? Yeah. But you just don't want to come off with rambling a bunch of excuses, because at that point, they don't care.
But like, when really owning, like, what I'd say is, like, growing up, my dad had a saying that he learned from Tom Hall, and it goes, excuses are for losers,
I love that.
right?
Yeah.
It's pretty blunt and black and white.
Yeah.
But man, like, it's
Yeah.
like, hey, traffic, like, if you're
Yeah.
not going, so if you're not going to make it somewhere on time because of traffic, right?
Yeah.
And that's the excuse you're going to run with. The right way to have that excuse is, I didn't plan for traffic, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it is, like, I didn't crimp the joint. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right? And it's very matter of fact.
Yeah.
Right? And just take ownership for it
Yeah.
reasonably quickly. But
Yeah.
try not to make the excuse an external thing you have no control over.
Yeah.
Make it personal to yourself.
Take responsibility for it.
And so you'd be very, very careful with like the difference between an excuse is generally something that you're saying you didn't have control over, but you probably did.
Yeah.
Right? And really, if you're thinking to yourself, before you open your mouth and you give it a reason why something is not happening,
Yeah.
really think about it. It's
Yeah.
like, is the client's answer going to be something, putting it back on me, showing that I could have, like, through a change in my behavior or decision making,
Yeah.
made it change, right? So I'm late because of traffic. What is anybody going to say to that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it is such an open, like,
Yeah.
it's such an opening for them to just hammer you. But you know what? I didn't plan for traffic. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you know what? I also didn't text you in advance. And usually I do that. I don't know why I didn't do that this time. I'm sorry for the impact that I caused.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
And-
tough to hammer that person.
And we started thinking about it this way too. Like this even works in your personal lives, like in business, like everywhere. The other day I was supposed to do something for my husband and I completely freaking forgot. He came home and he's like, "Did you do that?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." I go, "Bernie," I go, "Honey, really, I'm sorry." I go, "I apologize for any negative impact this had on you." I said to him, I go, "It wasn't my intention." I said, "Tell you what, why don't we solve this? I'll go out and do this right now." And he's like, "Oh, okay, awesome." And then he looks at me and goes, "Way to use your own training on me."
Yeah, exactly.
So now he does it to me too if I ask him to do something. But that's how it is. It diffuses it. Instead of me trying to make up an excuse, oh, I had a million things on my mind. I was doing this. He doesn't give a shit I had a million things on my mind. He just wanted me to do this one thing for him, right? So it diffuses it. And
But like, I love that excuse too, right? Oh, I had a ton of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Because what it tells people, it goes, if you have a ton of stuff going on, and like, so if I ask Derek to do something and I come back to him, you do it. And he goes, well, John, I had a ton of other things. What he's saying is, John, you're not important.
Yeah.
Like, all these other people are important.
exactly.
And you're not.
Yeah.
And that's the danger of going, well, I was at a previous client's house. I had this going on. Oh, we're really busy right now.
Yep.
Like all these things, what they say, it just goes, you're actually not important to me. All these other people are important to me, and you're not.
Yeah.
And it's not what you're saying, but that is how they're interpreting.
That's how
Like,
they're
hey,
interpreting
can you
it.
do this for me? No, I had a million things on my plate. But I needed one thing done, and you prioritize a million things over the one thing I need.
And I think that's where I fall into this a lot, but where over explanation equals excuses.
Ah,
Even if you've taken accountability for it, and that initial statement is like, yeah, sorry, you know what, I said I was going to do X, Y, Z. These are the reasons why I didn't. And whether it's an excuse or like legitimate, it still comes across as an excuse. But
Yeah.
I tend to explain
yeah.
the scenario first prior to then like saying, oh yeah, you know, I take accountability and that's how I feel. But these are the long drawn out
Yeah.
reasons why.
Yeah.
And yeah, whether it's
Yeah.
valid or not,
Yeah.
that over explanation without asking their permission of whether they care just comes across as you making excuses
Yeah.
either way.
And that's human nature too. And then there's the part we want to justify it in our minds, right? So because we were like, well, we want to feel better about this, right? So we're justifying, but I mean, it's not about us, it's about them. So yeah, that's a great one. Great job, Ashley. Well, why don't we take a 15-minute break? And when we come back, we're going to dive into objection handling, preventing objections.
Wow. And you two beside each other.
No, but he has no problem writing the binder, whereas I take the pages because I literally have.
Probably hasn't thought about that.
That's funny. So take a look at your watches. Time is now. Be back. 15.
No, it jumped out at me, because they might say, are you? Because why would this happen? No, if mistakes happen, and I'm standing here, and we're going to try to move forward with you, and not run away. And it gives you the chance to respond like that.
Yeah, it's spot on. Right? Like the number of times I've said something and yet you're like, oh man, I'm hammered now. Are you just learning how to just shut my mouth?
What's the whole?
I don't have the chance to watch those the whole time he's here. It's fine,
Eleanor gave me.
Yes.
She gave me the, oh, so do it right the first time. John Krebs was doing something for the fourth time or something like that.
I had that when I worked in retail many moons ago, and how I like ended up just using the same thing. He's like, "You guys did this, and I was like, "Yep, we did. You know what can we do? Can we refund you this product? Can we blah 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 blah?" And he's like, "It's just unacceptable." And I like, and he was just like tearing his shirt off, like, girl. And I said, "Have you ever made a mistake at work?" And he paused, and he's like, "Well, I mean, like, yeah." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is what just happened. She just made a mistake at work, and we're trying to solve the problem. How can we fix it for you? We can't make up that we've made a mistake. Let's just, again, how do we move forward from this? What can we do to make this better for you?"
Yeah.
But until I said, like, "Have you ever made a mistake?" She didn't think that, like, reaming out a 16-year-old girl for, like, giving her the wrong change back was, like, the worst thing in the world. And you just go, like, dude,
Yeah.
everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Sucks. Really sorry that this impacted for 5 minutes of you buying lottery tickets, but, like, what can we do for you?
Yeah. Wow.
You gotta ask my dad. Like, he's got a story for this one where he used the same thing when something happened. He's like, everybody makes mistakes. I'm like, you know, you ever made a mistake? And the guy's like, I'm an engineer. I never make mistakes.
Oh, jeez.
If I make a mistake,
People
die.
die.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
Do you know why you wear a ring being an
Yeah.
engineer? Because someone fucked up so bad making a mistake that a bunch of people actually did die. And that's your reminder
Yeah.
that you need
Yeah.
to be extra careful in your job. We try and do the same.
I remember hearing once that someone decided to shrink down the height of the Lennox furnaces. I don't remember even where I heard this. Shrink down the size because they could fit 3 in a truck. So they re-engineered everything. And then the first time they put it in the truck, they realized it was a pallet too.
Oh God.
yeah. We were talking about doing some shelves. We were racking in our new building. Right? We started and it's amazing. Like, so I said, like, go tour all, like, go to Primark, go to Echo, Lance, like, go look
at them.
And when they went to Echo, they found out when they put the shelving up. So their forklift goes up 12 feet. So they put the shelving at 12 feet, goes up 12 feet.
Wow.
And they forgot about the 4 inches underneath the pallet. And they had to readjust the top shelf.
Oh, jeez.
And it is like, the purpose of like being thorough.
Yeah.
Getting pure feedback. Like the strength of Wheeler being in that you guys can call it that.
So sweetie.
It does not. Like,
Yeah.
when people make decisions in a vacuum, like when people work alone, right? Man, the mistakes you can make are just astounding. Having that like sober second thought, that person who isn't there, right? That like running into this, like what have you seen? Like the various expertise, it's a major strength. Like something that you can very confidently tell almost.
Mhm.
Like that is the strength. It's our bench strength.
Yeah.
You don't have to rely on like just Arthur, right? You don't have to rely on just Max. Like it's not just about me.
We've had that.
Mhm.
What was that day when I was in that training and you called and we were swapping out technicians? And it was like, just be upfront. You know what? We booked the job. You know what? We have very little information. We sent a technician out who can normally handle 80% of these phone calls with limited information. You know what? He's reached the end of his troubleshooting knowledge. We're going to bring over another technician who can carry this further. And it was a question of like, oh, well, you just wasted my time and do I have to pay for this? And do I have to do this? And it's like, yes, you do. You know what? And all the work that he did leading up to this point is valid.
Now we
So now he can communicate that to the next technician. So he's starting at D instead of A. We don't have to recreate that work again. This is how we carry it forward.
Good for you.
Yeah, it elevated it to, and that's kind of what started, we elevated it to this next degree. Like it was, we were at, degree 1. where-
Ah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and saying, yeah, it's deeper issue. We're bringing in a different.
Is there different price points for those techs as well? Oh, okay.
Like we don't have that.
Okay.
I think part of it, like, I think, like, not that I've really spent a lot of time thinking about it, but I would say from more of a higher level is like just really understanding that like Curtis, Mike, Jeff, Max, like Arthur, they are highly knowledgeable in different areas, right? And so it's like to be like, oh well, like Arthur is an expert senior tech, right? You go, sure, like in these 5 disciplines, absolutely, right? But in these 5, definitely not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's more in that sense of like, yeah, Curtis goes out to a job, he exhausts his knowledge, he goes, yep, we've reached my 5. Now it's Arthur Tap's there, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of been that approach, I guess.
I like that. Yeah. That's good. Well, and the other side to it is like without being different price points, then that almost should be easier, I guess, as I'm trying to say, for the homeowner, less, right? Where it's like, oh, now I got to pay more money for this guy to come out, yeah.
It's tried to build just around fairness,
Yeah.
and then fairness to those guys too. Because then you've got like hierarchical. Why does he get paid more? Like why does
Yeah.
my expertise not count as much as his?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
At a certain point in time, it's like, hey, are you able to, on balance, go out to 80% of calls and solve them? And you can. Great.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like I said last time too, but like, one thing I really highly value about Jeff is he is very in touch with what he doesn't know.
Mhm.
It is crazy how fast he walks in and somebody goes, nope, don't know that. Make get a phone call, right? And versus
Yeah.
that more older school trade mentality, which is like super tech. I can solve anything,
Yeah.
right?
Their
I may not
ego.
know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
You go, I get that. If you're like a one-man show, you don't have a lot of choice,
Yeah.
right? But you work at a company that has a very strong bench. Like there is somebody at Wheeler who is like an expert in something.
Yes.
Like not the width and breadth of the entire industry, but
Yeah.
man, you call somebody about like a Linux zone board, I bet you we have somebody who knows a lot about a Linux zone board,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
A Goodman pressure switch. Somebody at Wheeler knows,
Yeah.
right? You know, an IBC boiler. Yeah, we have 3 people who, like, you know, if Eric ran to a job site, we have 3 people who could probably walk him through how to troubleshoot that,
Yeah.
right?
That's awesome. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I truly believe that.
Well, I like the dynamics of your team, and yeah, the expertise within the team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And celebrate.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think so
Very
many
much
people,
so.
like, Clearview, they're on that slogan now of like get it done right the first time, right? Which is cool. And I love selling against that slogan.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's still on some of our vans. If you see that van driving down the road, it's like you'll know. Like it's fun to tell. Like for me, I love telling the story. Like because it is embarrassing
Yeah.
when someone says, and then it's like, well, is that reasonable?
Yeah.
Would a reasonable person tell people that they do it right, that they do everything right the first time? Or when you say it that way, people are
Factor
like,
in human error.
yeah,
Come on.
it's completely unreasonable.
Yeah.
Why would you put that
Yeah.
in your van job? Yeah, that's like
What about
clearly not thinking.
what about the company that has on their vans? This is the last furnace you'll ever install.
JPS.
Holy shit!
That is crazy.
I was behind them on Stony, and I was like, "What?"
It's funny when when Keenan brought that up because like the last one you'll ever install, that's a heavy statement.
Well,
They're banking on you moving out in 10 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that. So what else are they banking on? So I like, by the way, great deductive reasoning.
Yeah.
Because they don't say that on their ad,
Yeah.
but they are banking on that.
Yeah.
What's the other thing they're banking on?
They don't do maintenance of you.
No.
Good
Say
install.
that differently.
You don't do maintenance with them every year.
No.
Yeah, that's what
That you do maintenance every year. I guarantee you that's in it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Guaranteed it's in
Yeah,
there.
because they got the extended warranties,
Yeah.
and part of that extended warranty
Yeah.
is it must be maintained in order for the warranty to be. Otherwise, it's null and
Buy
void.
them. I
Yeah.
guarantee it.
Yeah.
Right? This is the last furnace you're ever going to buy?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right?
By them. No.
Yeah, exactly. You're this is how much your maintenance cost is going to be. This is how much you're going to
Yes.
sign up for this. This is when
Yes.
it's going to happen. We're going to be in control of this. And to
Yeah.
that extent, and then they're going to gamble that after 10 years, right, that the person will
Yeah.
freak out.
Yeah.
right? And then they're going to gamble that
Sorry,
if
JP, I
after
took your
10 years
seat.
or 12 years or when the failure actually does happen on the furnace, that they've made enough money on that to
Yes.
swap it. And then what they'll probably do is do
Yeah.
a depreciated asset value,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like this furnace was 5,000. Next, like in 10 years from now, it's gonna be 8,000. You're gonna pay the $3,000 difference.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I can
Because
see
it-
that.
because of inflation.
Yeah.
You don't get the new Ferrari at the 1980 price,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so there's a few different ways to play that. But
Yeah.
It is like my understanding the last time I looked was that the average person lives in their house for like less than 7 years.
I was gonna say it used to be 7,
Yeah.
and now it's like more like 3 to 5. Yeah.
Or even sidestepping that and being like, hey, we want, you first moved in, you had to swap this furnace, you're new in the house. Now let's upgrade you and figure out what we can do to change your system to make it more comfortable for you.
Yeah.
And it's not the same furnace, you're providing them an upgrade.
Yeah.
And sidestepping that was good for the first 7 years, but now you've got that cold spot above your garage.
Yeah.
We can solve that by doing A, B, C, and D and switching to this system.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing is what these said though, like we get into this, I'm not sure how often, but it's the situation where a tech can say, hey, look, this hasn't been maintained. Now the implication is, well, did we install it 6 years ago and tell them it needs to be maintained? Yeah. We had that feedback come back from some Springs like how we're going to this is bullshit. And so, just being cautious with using this should have been maintained every year.
The longer we're in business, the more we're starting to realize following manufacturer specifications
Ah.
is very important.
I was just gonna say you nailed it right there. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not our standard, it's their standard.
Exactly. It takes the pressure off of you because it is. It's theirs. It's the
It's
manufacturer's.
a great one. So, like, and you can use that. You didn't tell me that I need to maintain this. This is your fault. Yeah, it's really like this is bullshit, right? I shouldn't have to buy a new boiler 5 years later, right? I paid Robert Bean, I paid Bill DeJong, I paid Wheeler to do this all right. Why do I have to pay for an heat exchange?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, man, I feel really bad for you. Like, it's not fair. Like, it isn't fair.
Yeah.
Like, we all tried our best. This sucks for you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Is Bill DeJong still around?
Yeah, he works for DCS.
Oh, wow.
DC sales.
Wow.
Right? As the
Crazy.
more IDC guru.
Okay. Huh. Wow.
Right? But like Michael is really the prime example of that.
Yeah.
Right? And something where we went above and beyond and did absolutely everything we possibly could to make that guy's boiler. And the heat exchange fit. And then the manufacturer didn't want to warranty it.
No.
And you're like this is where I've learned where it's like, how long does the boiler last? 5 years. Right? Like, the manufacturer to stand behind it? Probably not. Will the furnace manufacturer stand behind their product? Generally, yes. Right? Boiler manufacturers are awful.
Are they?
Yes.
Wow.
Things that, like, you know, a boiler's a high-end product. I shouldn't have these problems. And I go, tell me about maintaining your Ferrari. Ferrari's a high-end product. You have to maintain it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right? Tell me about your Rolex. Like, can you take your Rolex down? Like,
Yeah.
the Timex is significantly more robust than Rolex. Right?
Yeah.
And you're like trying to spell it out in their language. That's sometimes a problem that, like, at field tests, you can't necessarily have to be as flippant with
Yeah.
score rich. Like, I have more of a luxury where I can use like
Yeah.
other Ferrari. I
Yeah.
have more Ferrari, but
Yeah.
they're like, hey man, like, how much does an oil change cost on your Ferrari? Do you still have to ship those to Vancouver for that? Oh no, not anymore. They're going to go in Calgary, so it's only like $2,600.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, boilers will put my future kids through college.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
All this stuff, right? Everything is being designed around the service industry and replacement costs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, water tanks, furnaces, everything breaks way,
Yeah.
way sooner.
Yeah, there's not a better time to get into the trades because everything's so shit, like all the appliances. Like, there's gonna be retros in every house every 10 years. And
Absolutely.
then,
Oh,
like, so you take a whole
yeah.
community, each one of those furnaces is gonna be done in, you know, maybe 13, 14 years, but you guaranteed money.
Yeah.
It's 100%, and it is. Right?
Yeah.
But so with Mid-Efficient, then, would people get less service calls, like less retros compared to today? I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
But and this is where, like, the power of this class is very, very helpful in being able to articulate it, because the client's expectation and reality are misaligned.
Oh,
And so
yes.
you're getting in the industry.
Yeah.
And so one of the skills is learn how to do the retro. But the most important skill is learn how to talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the skill.
Yeah.
Like, there's lots of people who can retro furnace.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of field techs who can communicate with the client on their level.
Yeah.
Right? In a way that endears and respect and trust.
Yeah.
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 You're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It all comes back to trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. And knowing that, having that respect from them from the minute you walk into their house.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah. You can have your seat back, JP.
Okay.
I apologize for any negative impact that may have had on you.
I appreciate you.
And
Alright, and I will take myself out.
there you go. Play with this with each other, like, even, you know. Practice, practice, practice.
Oh, man. That would be everyone though.
I know, that's why I was.
I'm gonna
Alrighty. Let's get back into. Give you 30 seconds. Wrap up what you're doing. Actually, that was really quiet. I'll give you 30 seconds to wrap up what you're doing. Okay, next, objections. That objection wasn't covered in my sales training, so let's just skip it and stick to my script, okay? I love this when I saw this, because literally when I took some sales training, oh God, I don't even know what it was, 20-something years, 25 years ago maybe. I think it was 20 years ago. I was with Johnson Controls, and I was down in the States taking some sales training. And they were on, and it was literally old school. What they did is taught you the top 10 objections that people would have, and then the top 10 responses. So you had to memorize these objections, and you had to memorize these responses. Does anybody see where that can go sideways in a call? How?
I've had that before where people go, that's great that you're following your company's policy. I called Walmart and they told me the exact same thing, but I had a problem with them. I guess everyone's just going to say that and never fix my problem.
Yeah.
They're like,
Anything else? Can you see where that can go sideways?
You're not listening.
How about if they bring up an objection that you haven't memorized? Now what do you do? You're face to face with somebody. You don't exactly say, oh, can you hold on a minute? I didn't memorize that one. Just give me a minute, right? Because I've had that happen. I was in a call, and it was actually, I was in a downtown building, I think it was Scotia Center, and I was looking at replacing the chillers, and I was quoting ripping the chillers out and putting new chillers in and cooling tower. And all of a sudden, an objection came up, and I literally stumped me because I was like, oh, crap. I don't have an answer for that one. So I had to say, okay, I'll just give me a moment. And I had to take a moment to actually think about it because it wasn't something I'd memorized. So I don't like that way of teaching how to handle objections, so I don't teach that way. So instead of teaching that way, I'm giving you a fish, I'm gonna teach you how to fish instead. How's that sound? So for starters, preventing objections. When we look at an objection, in most cases what an objection is, we can almost look at it like as a cry for help. People are typically, they don't understand something or they want more information. That's what objection is. They make a statement and it typically means, I don't have enough information, I don't understand, I need to know more. So if I was like, for instance here, if, what was I gonna say here? I'm gonna use Jeff as an example. Jeff, you're gonna need to help me understand that. Why is that valuable? So a homeowner can bring that up to you. And then you'd be like, you know, why is it necessary, or why is it, if I said that to you, why is it necessary for me to change my thermostat? I just bought one last year. Why should I pay $1,000 for a thermostat?
You want better control over your heating and cooling system?
Yeah.
Do you want to be able to control your temperature while you're awake? I don't know if I'm answering you.
Nope, that's great. You threw some answers out because we're going to go into some steps on objection handling. I just wanted you to throw some stuff out there for me because that's typically what we want to do is we want to jump in and solve the objection, what they bring up right away. So I'm going to teach you another method of handling that. So great, thank you for that. Typically what they're saying is they don't understand. So expect the best, but prepare for anything else. If they have an objection, it's just that they weren't prepared for it. You don't understand. You don't want to expect them to have an objection, so don't walk in the house expecting objections, but be prepared to handle them either way, because it can put you in a really awkward situation if you don't know how to handle them. Meaning, again, the label you put on your experience becomes your experience, and we talked about that last week. So if you're worried about getting objections, again, you're going to get them. Number 2, get excited when you hear an objection. This is a mindset shift, because again, it means they're still engaged with you. They need more information. If someone says, oh, I think it costs too much, or I don't know if I need that many BTUs, for example, I don't know if I need a 3-ton. Why do I need a 3-ton? My neighbors had a 2.5-ton put in, and it's working just fine for their home. Whatever it is, they might not understand. So it could be that they need more information to justify the decision in order for them to make the purchase. So number 3, have such great rapport with trust and confidence. Sorry, Manuel. Do you want me to move over here? That they don't bring up objections. Instead, they ask questions. When you've built trust and rapport, that's what's typically going to happen. Instead of bringing up objections, they're going to ask you questions. And here's the difference. Let me ask you a question. Is an objection a question or a statement? Yeah, it is. It's a statement. But to them, it's a statement that's an absolute in their mind. So you want to take a look at that. When reality, it should be a question. So I'm going to teach you how to take that statement and we're going to convert it into a question. When someone comes up with an objection, they're usually saying, but you haven't built enough rapport with them just yet for them to understand it. So convert it to a question. If you have trust and rapport, you have the relationship with them. Like I said, they'll ask a question. They won't ask you if it costs too much if you've built trust and rapport. They'll ask you to tell more about it. They might ask you to explain it. They'll ask you questions around the pricing as well if you've built that rapport or trust. Instead of saying it costs too much, they're going to say, hey, John, can you share with me why it's more expensive than the other one, or why it's more expensive than what my neighbor paid? So they'll actually ask you a question when you have.
Do you find that most people have emotional intelligence to ask questions like that, or do you find most people are more likely to just come up with an objection?
Well, like I said, it depends if you built trust and rapport, because in my experience too, I've had those connections. I've spent the time with people. We've had the conversations. They'll ask me questions.
So, yeah, I was just saying, in general, most people aren't going to trust us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? The people that we work the most with still don't trust us.
Yeah.
And so,
So-
probably just with that reframe, that like to expect that they're going to ask a question, probably not. And really hearing it's like an objection is a statement.
Yeah.
And really paying attention to this next part is really important.
Yeah.
Listening for the concern behind the objection.
Yes. Yeah. What's the intent of that objection?
Arthur, like how many of our clients who built their house, sometimes we build their second house, we've been serving for a long time. How many times do you still go through like trust issues? All the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like with Joanne and Al, right? Yeah. Still.
Yeah.
Right? It's basically been 12 years. They've spent with Wheeler probably north of like $700,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it's not about money, it's not about time. Some people just don't trust, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? So just don't go into a lot of interactions expecting that they're going to trust you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not personal as well.
Yeah.
Like, you think John likes you?
No.
I don't think she hates me.
She likes you. What I would say too is like the fact that we're keeping their home is the first indicator that they like us.
Yes.
Right? People in the Rudels continue to invite us into their home if they wouldn't like us.
Yeah.
How much
Yeah.
choice do they have?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Right? And so they like you. And they don't trust you. And it's different. It's okay. Right? It's not personal.
Yeah. That's the part there. It's not personal.
No, it's not personal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's them. Yeah. So when they're saying, when they don't, if they don't have that, like all they're saying is, it's not a no. I just need more information. That's why they're bringing up the objection. So how do you form it into a question? Your goal is to translate it into a question so that they can then justify the needs of the request. So you want to have such great rapport and trust and confidence that they don't bring up objection, that they ask questions. But like John just pointed out, in some cases, you're not going to have their trust or rapport. And I'm not even sure how that situation goes. Like they might ask questions too, right? Because they might not have the full trust, but they've been with you guys for a lot of years, right? So they'll tend to ask more questions. So how do we use framing skills to pre-frame the most common objections in advance? When you're getting ready to propose a quote, could be a furnace, an AC, hot water tank, like a big ticket item, or we'll look at air filtration, water softener, hot water tank boiler. Some homeowners don't realize that in addition to comfort, that there are many benefits to upgrading your furnace and adding a filtration system. So that's an example that you can say to them as you're talking. So you're framing it in a way for them. Then ask what they're, then they can ask really what are they, like what is an air filtration system? What is this? What is that? And you can go into, allergens protect through filtration system, filtering the smoke from the fires. Now you can start to go into what the actual product does, cleaning the air through cycles, for ERV, whatever it may be. This is the way you can frame it so that they see the benefits that they may not be looking at. Does that make sense? And we're going to get into some practicing with this too. And so framing skills and then mind reading skills that we talked about before. You may be wondering, you may be thinking, you may be wondering why. You may be thinking that. You may be thinking that, am I going to be more comfortable this winter with the new furnace? You may be wondering, am I finally going to be able to breathe better and sleep at night? You may be wondering if this will filter out the smoke from the fires. So you're doing mind reading with them, or filtering off gassing from new building materials. So go back to the benefits that we've been talking about all along. I'm curious, did you know the EPA states that indoor air quality is 5 times more toxic than outdoor air quality? Bring back the wow statements in. So you're going to use mind reading techniques to get them to think about and what you want them to think about, whether they're even thinking about it or not. And it gets them off the problem again and onto the solution. And number 6, check in, like we talked about before. Check in and take their temperature. I'm curious, if you were to proceed with this new furnace or AC, what would be your main reason for doing so? And let them tell you. Again, it also goes back to the enrolled, not sold. So they're going to tell you. I'm curious, if you were to proceed with this water softener, what would be your main reason for doing so? And then let them tell you. You're going to literally find out, again, what their buying decision criteria is, which we've been talking about every week. Because that once they tell you that, then you know it could be like to protect their children. It could be breathing allergies, like I said before, the in-law suite, having it nice and cool above the garage so when your mother-in-law comes in the summer that she's happy. These are reasons they're going to tell you that again, is their decision-making criteria. So it's the framing skills, pre-frame beforehand the most common objections. And you guys can even as a group, take a look at what are the most common objections you come up with. Mind reading and then check in. Is it possible that you're less likely to get a real objection if you've covered these with them? Yeah. So if objection still comes up, and it could, then here's 7 steps that we're going to go over. So 7 steps for handling objections. And that's on page 7 of your manual. Number 1, ignore it and listen. I'll go through the 7 steps and then we'll go through them deeper. Number 2, repeat it back kindly and listen. Number 3, question it and listen. Number 4, isolate and check in, take their temperature. Number 5, convert it to a question. Number 6, answer the question. And number 7, what we call congratulate and future pace. Oops. So number 1, ignore it and listen closely. So example, if you go to a shopping center and you walk in, typically what does the person there working say to you? Yeah, what's the typical response? No, or just looking, right? A lot of people say just looking. That's what we call a conditioned response. A lot of times with objections, they're a conditioned response. So that's what we want to find out, if it's just a conditioned response or not. So when we say ignore it and listen, what we're talking about, is it a conditioned response? You're having a conversation, they bring up an objection. If don't, what I say by ignore it is like, don't just be rude, but let them keep talking, because chances are they're still talking. You don't want to jump in and handle that objection. One of the reasons is they may have more than one objection. And the other one is they might solve their own objection is if you let them keep talking. So the first one we talked about was like, we ignore it and listen. So we, like at a party, we let a joke that you don't get. It's go over your head and listen. So we ignore it and listen. That's what we do with the first one, because more times than not, it's typically a conditioned response. Now, if they bring it up again the second time, and you hear them say it again, then we do repeat it back kindly and listen. So you just repeat it back with an inquisitive tone and listen. Is it too expensive? Or it costs too much? You don't think you need that big of a unit? Or you don't think you need this many bells and whistles or features, whatever it may be? You know, you don't have enough time, you don't understand the solution. So you just repeat it back and listen. Because if it is a conditioned response, again, they will continue on talking, and sometimes they will solve it and give you more information. So if you repeat it back, they'll typically give you some more information. So you want to repeat it back kindly and listen. And then number 3, we do what we call question it and listen. You must have some reason for sharing that. Do you mind if I ask what that is? And now they're going to tell you. They're going to dive into it, and they're going to give you more information. So there must be some reason for you sharing that. Do you mind if I ask what it is? There is often a reason behind the objection. And so if it is a true objection, then they'll get into it and they'll tell you the reason why, because you want to know what that underlying intent is of the objection, what the reason is behind it. So then they'll tell you what that is. And that's important to know before you attempt to resolve it, because you'll now have an understanding whether or not it is a true concern or an objection, there could be some resistance there as well. So now you have an opportunity to find out where they're at with that. That's the real reason why. There might be a story behind that, so finding out that story so that you can then come back and solve the problem or the objection. And number 4, we talked about, we call it isolate and test our check-in, because just suppose we handle that, in your opinion, would you be willing to proceed? So now you're asking that, just suppose we handle that, in your opinion, are you willing to proceed? And I'm going to teach you some hand signals that actually work with eye access and cue. If you're sitting there and you're talking to somebody and you're handling the objection, it's like, just suppose we handle that, in your opinion, would you be willing to proceed? Now they kind of look at it, and you can just do it very subtle, but in their mind, with your brain is connecting to your hands. It's like, just suppose we handle that. In their head, they're thinking it's already handled. So it's another way, it's another kind of advanced technique, but it diffuses the objection too. And we're going to practice this. We're going to have a game with this, so it'll be easy for you guys to remember. So, and again, you don't want to jump on it right away, because there could be more than one objection. So just suppose, it gets them to imagine that the challenge or the objection they have is that you can solve it, when it's just suppose we handle that. What we've done is we've attached less energy to it, where an objection versus letting it go and it grows, and they can get more onto it and people can get angrier. And then convert the objection to a question. That brings up a question. And then repeat the objection and turn it into a question. Is it that it's too expensive? Or isn't the real question, how do you reallocate budget or get payment plans or the funds needed in order to put in the furnace? And you can go into the benefits of the furnace, and we're going to dive deeper into this, or the air conditioner, for the product you desire. Isn't that the real question? So you're repeating it back to them. So that's called a reframe. So we're going to be using a reframe where we're changing their perception of the situation to get them to focus on the benefit versus what the challenge is. Is it that it costs too much, or isn't the real question, how can we get you on a payment plan to get you the comfort that you want and desire? So we're dissolving the objection here. Or is it the real question, or is it how do we get you the air quality that you desire? Whatever it may be, the products you're putting in, what's the benefit that goes with whatever you're installing? So you're changing it from from it costs too much. The real question is, again, is it a payment plan or whatever it may be? The number 6, we simply answer the question. Now and only now is where you dive in to your facts and features, where you dive into your products and the facts and features. So guess what? You mentioned your family's health, poor indoor air quality. You had concerns about being a new home with off-gassing, hot or cold spots. Your in-laws suite, it's too hot in the winter, you want to cool it off. You say, hey, here's what's great about that. You mentioned that it's pricey. Well, the good news is with the payment plan, you'll able to take care of the cold spots, get that 100,000 BTU furnace that will have better temperature control, or, to cool all 2,500 square feet, whatever that problem that you're solving. Now you dive into your equipment, whatever you're installing, and the benefits of it. And if you want to go technical, that's where you start going in the 100,000 BTU furnace, so on and so forth. Does that make sense? This is where we dive into the products. This is all going to come together in a few minutes here because I know it seems like a lot. Then number 7 is really important, is what we call congratulate and future pace. This is whether you're handling objection or even at the end, say there is no objections and you're at the end of the deal and they're signing the paperwork for you to go ahead and do the install, because I know they sign on your iPads, right? At the end, whether it's like I said, objection or not, or they're just signing, instead of thanking them for business, give me your credit card. That sounds like a salesperson. That sounds like you have commission breath. So instead, you just want to stop, pause, look them in the eye and say, Ashley, congratulations on a great choice. I think you're going to really be impressed with the comfort of your entire home. I think you're going to be impressed with the fact that your children or in-laws are going to be breathing healthy, whatever it may be. Tie it back to the benefits when you're congratulating them, and then go ahead and ask them. The future pace part is, I'm curious, how do you see this benefiting you and your family in the next 12 to 24 months? And so, yep, go ahead.
You think after they sign an estimate, say you're presenting an estimate, and they say, let's proceed, you think that would be the right time to do this?
Yeah.
Or after the installation, but right before you collect the payment?
I would say, there's 2 steps there.
Yeah, what's the best time to go over this? Right after they say, yes, I'd like to proceed, and you haven't even done it yet, or after the installation, right before you collect payment?
I would do it right there as soon as they sign. I would say, congratulations on a great choice, right? Here's how it'll benefit you, and then ask them where they see themselves, your comfort level in the next 12 to 24 months, because now it puts them in the frame of mind where they're seeing this and seeing themselves with it already installed 12 to 24 months. And what it actually does is it lessens buyer's remorse. It's actually a key component to lessening buyer's remorse, where now they see it, they're future pacing, and they're thinking themselves with it in the future. So right there, like you said, at the end when you're getting they're signing and taking the money, that's a good time to congratulate them. And how do you see this will benefit you, blah, blah, blah. Because they need to be able to tell you how they've benefited by it and how they see the benefits. If they can tell you, here's the benefits, blah, 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 and how they see it benefiting them, guess what? You've just enrolled them for their reasons, not sold for yours. If they can't give you how this will benefit them, they've been sold. See the difference there? That's what the whole thing, like we've been talking every week, it's like the problem, solutions, and benefits. You really want them to tap into the benefits. There's less buyer's remorse. And when we're going to dive into referrals next week, they're going to be so excited about this. And it's the benefits that people buy. They buy for the benefits. Justify with logic. They're going to be telling their neighbors, their friends, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Great question, Mike. So yeah, when you're talking about whatever the pain point is of the problem, then you point out the solution. So you want them to feed it back to you, what they're looking forward to, what they're excited about. You're not convincing them what they need. There's a big difference there. If they can't tell you, like I said, over the next 24 months, then you've sold them, not enrolled them. And it could be as simple as, I'm curious, how is this going to benefit you in the next 12 to 24 months? Like it's just as easy as that, and then let them tell you what it is. Again, like I said, it drastically reduces the chance of buyer's remorse. Okay, so next, your turn. What we're going to do here is, I guess you right on page 9 will work. We'll take a couple minutes before we practice this, but come up with 2 examples that you can congratulate and future pace them on. So what can you congratulate with them and future pace them on? Give you a couple minutes to write something out. Okay. We're just writing some examples of what you can congratulate people on. Okay, who wants to share? What's a couple things that you can congratulate them on? And how would you do that? Oh, go ahead,
I'm
Curtis.
not 100% confident in it, but
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea it's going. Congratulations on your great choice. We'll be selling the Lennox air purification system with a carbon filter and UV light.
Okay.
Congratulations on the great choice. I'm curious, with this new unit, you're going to be reducing odor and smoke into your home with better filtration. What are you looking forward to the most about that?
Okay.
Is that a pre-question before you even?
Well, you've kind of, because read it again. So now you're going into, go ahead, read it again one more time. I just want to.
Congratulations on the great choice. I'm curious, with the new unit, you're going to be reducing odor and smoke into your home with better filtration. What are you looking forward to the most about the new equipment?
Okay, you've added some points in there, so you've actually told them parts of it, but then you can ask them, how do you think this will benefit you?
Yeah.
What do you choose the most? Yeah, I like that. You can throw that back in. And then have them, they'll then reiterate, I like this, this, and this. That's a good way too, right? So you're actually telling them the benefits again. Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping at the end of this, I'm selling some UVs.
It's coming this hard. This whole
Yeah.
I want it. I want
Yeah.
it so bad.
I feel like it's the easiest one to get.
Yeah.
Low-hanging fruit.
And we're going to go through I'm going to teach you the steps, and then we're going to go through some parts too, where you'll also be tapping in and sharing all the benefits. Go ahead, Eric.
I went with congrats on a great choice. I'm curious, who are you looking forward to sharing the positive impact this will have on you with?
Oh, I like that. I'm
My
curious,
secret
who will
lover.
you share? Yeah, I'm curious, who will you share? Yeah. And then, yeah, and how they'll benefit as well. Yeah. Awesome. Who will you share? Let's have a group discussion. Who else want to share? What do you guys got? You're too quiet.
Congrats on going forward with this maintenance plan. Will this give you confidence in preventing major failures?
Okay. I would ask, because you just gave them what the benefit is.
Yeah.
I would also maybe ask on the maintenance plan and have them come back and tell you, right?
So do you believe this will?
Yeah. What do you see are the benefits of having this maintenance plan?
Similar. I said, congratulations on the possession of your new home. With joining our maintenance plan, you've ensured your preventive maintenance needs. Got long anyway. But I switched it and said, like, what will you do with that peace of mind
There you go.
of us
Yeah.
taking care of your preventative needs?
Yeah.
maintenance
What do we worry about now?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
needs? Think of all the time you have now to
Yeah.
schedule other things instead of your furnace.
Yeah. Get them to really, so they're really tapping into the peace of mind. We're there to then telling you.
Because then that kind of goes with
Yeah.
does that give you, trust
Yeah.
or comfort?
Yeah.
or-
Yeah. Right? You can even say, how do you feel this will benefit you? Having a peace of mind will benefit you, or whatever, and have them tell them, well, I don't have to worry about now going away in the winter time, and I'm a snowbird or whatever. My house is locked up 6 months or whatever it may be. Right? Have them at least tell you a couple benefits of why they see why this is important. Mike?
First one are the exact same things, maintenance programs and peace of mind.
Yeah.
Also, just for the pretty simple one, congratulations on choosing to purchase a new air conditioner. I'm curious, are you looking forward to a more comfortable experience this summer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then ask them how that would benefit them. Yeah. Instead of a comfortable experience, how do you this air conditioner, how do you see yourself benefiting from this air conditioner? What are you going to benefit from it? You want them to tell you that, because typically,
It's a different question than saying,
because you're kind of telling them what the benefits are, right?
we're
So you're,
assuming it's gonna be more comfortable.
yeah, exactly. So you're telling them, right? So when we say telling, we call it selling. When you're telling, you're selling. You want them to tell you. So now they're enrolled for their reasons. So this is great. This is a great exercise. That's why there's no good or bad, right or wrong here, but it's just to shift the mindset from telling them what the benefits are. You want them to tell you what the benefits are. Does that make sense?
I was saying, the same one as like what activities around the house are you looking forward to doing that this
Yep.
product or system will now allow?
Yeah.
Like my mind was thinking like an AC.
Yeah. Yeah, because you want them to dive in. Because we're used to telling them. We're used to telling them what the products are. We're used to telling them, here's what you're going to get, here's what you're going to get. And that there is that part of the conversation for sure. But this is the part where we want them to then tell us what the benefits are. that, oh my goodness, I can't wait for this air conditioner because I suffer from hot flashes and now it's going to be cool at night because opening the windows wasn't cutting it. I'm going to be able to sleep. I don't have to worry about my kids. I can, the UV and everything. Oh my God, thank God. Now I can have the windows closed and I don't have to worry about, all the toxins or whatever in the house. So you want them because now they're enrolling for their reasons. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
John, you look like you have something to say.
Yeah, congratulations on the purchase of your air filtration.
Yeah.
The Lennox. Forgot the name of it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Congratulations on the purchase of the Lennox. What are you most looking forward to this summer with
Yeah.
this filter?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sunny, what do you think they're looking forward to?
Battery quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Less dust. Someone like
Yeah.
Who would look forward to less dust?
Yeah.
Asthmatics.
Yeah, lots of RV people, asthmatics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, big time.
And
Yeah, because you've already had the conversation going through where you've told them the benefits. They know. You want to just, the whole idea at the end is to make sure that they understand what they are, right? So your whole conversation is leading up to the very end where it's like, I get it. This is why I'm doing it, da, da, da. And now they're excited about the benefits. Because like I said, people buy for benefits and the value that those benefits bring to their lifestyle. It's not the BTUs. It's not the product knowledge.
they get excited for it.
They do. Oh my God, to sleep at night and to be able to breathe and all the things, they get really excited. That's the problem.
It is
Yeah.
the Pure Air S from Dave Lennox.
Yeah.
There you go.
Congratulations on the purchase of your Pure Air S
Yes.
from Lennox.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to with this?
Yeah, and you want them to tell you want to have this conversation with every sale. Trust me, it will make a huge difference because now they're telling you, and not only that, like I said, when we tap into referrals next week, this is going to be huge for referrals. I'm going to teach you how to ask for 3 to 5 referrals. So we're gonna dive into that next week. It's going to be fun. Do you see how this is? Now we're gonna do a little. I'll wait for Mike to get back because we're gonna do a little exercise. I'm going to teach you how to memorize objection handling. Okay, everybody, stand up. Shift your energy. We're going to be standing for a minute. I can turn the lights on now if you want. All right. So, actually, I'll go through the long version and then we'll do the short version. Okay, so we take our bodies with, God, I feel short. We take our bodies with us everywhere, right? I can say everywhere. So I'm going to teach you exercise using your bodies. We're going to start at the top and work our way down. So when you're sitting there for objection handle, the easiest way to remember it is when the first objection, when they first mention it and it comes up, you want to go like this with your hand. If you're right-handed or left-handed, you're going to ignore it. So go over your head, ignore it, and then put it and listen. Okay? So the objection comes up, you ignore it, listen. Then it comes up again. What do? You're going to repeat it back kindly and listen. And then, hold on, I'm going to do it this way and then we'll go into the other way. Then the third one is you're going to question it. So just kind of draw a question down to your belly button. So you're going to question it. You must have some reason for sharing that. May I ask what it is? That's the only question you really need to ask, right? We ask it. So question it and then listen. And let them give you their feedback. Let them tell you what their reason is. Number 4 is what we call the isolate and check in. So that's just suppose, and go like this, just suppose we handle that. In your opinion, and then in your opinion, would you be willing to proceed? And you can do it so subtle where it's like, just suppose, and I actually had this technique done to me. And I was like, that was really good. Just suppose we handle that. In your opinion, would you be willing to proceed? Now you're using the hand gestures, and in your opinion, you're pointing to them, so it's their opinion willing to proceed. Now in their mind, they're going, okay, I'm ready to move forward. And you ask them then, if another objection comes up, then we kind of stack the objections and we'll go to answer it. So first one, we're going to ignore it and listen. Second, repeat it back kindly and listen. Third, I'm trying to do it so you can see the question mark backwards, so it's question it and listen. Then number 4 is isolate. Just suppose you answer the, just suppose we handle that. In your opinion, would you be willing to proceed? And then number 5, that brings up a question. So that brings up a question, is that it's too expensive? Or is it that the real question, how do you relocate the funds or get a payment plan that works for the system that you want or whatever? We'll play with some wording on that. So then you repeat it back. Is it this or is it this? Right? Is the question this or is it really this? Then number 6 is our air conditioning helps indoor, and then you go like this, and this is where you start bringing in your facts and features. Our air conditioning helps to regulate indoor humidity levels, reduces allergens, improves indoor air quality, which is beneficial for your daughter and her respiratory. So you go through what the things are. So here's where you're telling them what the benefits are that you then want them to repeat back to you. And then number 7 is congratulate, where you shake your hands, and future pace. So it's congratulations on a great choice. I'm curious how this new unit will positively impact your comfort and style. So number 1, ignore it and listen. Number 2, repeat it back kindly and listen. Number 3, question it and listen. Number 4, just suppose we handle that. It's kind of like the way you did that. Just suppose we handle that. In your opinion, would you be willing to proceed? Number 5, that brings up a question. Is it this or is it this? And then number 6, you answer the question with your benefits of what the products. Okay? And then number 7, congratulate and future pace. So there you go.
All right.
Those are the steps. They're also in your manual. Now that I've showed you that part, I'm just going to go over this a little bit in more detail again. Just so now that we've told you it, we've done the steps, now I'm going to go over it again. So number 1, it's like I said, you don't want to give it the energy, the objection. Give it, like I said, like a bad joke. That's why when it's over your head, question it and listen. Let's just say it's a valid objection. They bring it up again. They'll bring it up again if it's they'll bring it up again if it's a valid objection. So you just, like I said, ignore it and listen and let them keep talking, right? The second time you hear it, that's where you want to repeat it back kindly. Does it cost too much? You know, you don't have the budget. You're only home on weekends. Maybe the conflict is they want a Saturday install. Maybe that's their objection, right? You're only home on weekends. Whatever it is, then you just repeat it back kindly. It could be something where they don't feel they need this feature or this, this whatever. I don't need three tons. Our neighbor has 4 or 2.5 tons, whatever it may be. So you just repeat it back. Because it gets them to think about it. And some people, in some cases, like I said, they may just talk themselves out of it if they keep going on. And then all of a sudden they solve the objection in their own head, answer their own question. And there possibly might be more than one objection. So you just want to repeat it back kindly and let them respond. The number 3, if it's valid, here's where you want to find out why. So that's why we draw the question mark, right? This is, like I said, the only question you need to memorize. I'm curious, Keenan. There must be some reason that you bring that up. And then you have him, sorry, Keenan's over there, I'm looking at Devin because he just walked in. There must be some reason you bring that up, right? Or there must be some reason you're concerned about that. Eric, there must be a reason, a story behind that. Do you mind if I ask what it is? Right? And now they're going to elaborate. They're going to go deeper into it. And if they start to say, if they bring up, for instance, well, our neighbors had theirs done, or I got a competitive quote and it was $4,500 and you were $3,500. If they bring up the competitive quote, you can go into competitive selling. I'm curious, what are 2 or 3 things you liked about the quote? What are 2 or 3 things they could have improved on? What's the most important to you in choosing a contractor? So you can go into the competitive selling there. And then number 4, like I said, that's the first time you're actually going to start to focus on the objection. So that's where it's like, we're handling the objection now. You simply say, and like I said, with my hands, is it that it costs too much? Or, right, is the real question, how do we get you the payment plan to get you the benefits? And you can go through some benefits here as well of that furnace or the allergy, you could call it, the filtration system, so your child doesn't have, can breathe better and whatever it may be. So you can go into some of the benefits there as well. So just suppose we handle that, in your opinion, would you be willing to proceed? There might be another objection. So then you would handle that one. And then it's like, just suppose we handle that. In your opinion, would you be willing to proceed? So then that's where you want to actually handle all the objections. Make sure you handle it all. And then willing to proceed because you're now moving forward. So you want to get them moving forward from the objection. We're tying it back to benefits as well because we want them to look at the positive, not the negative side of things. So, and number 5, then you restate the objection. You turn it into a question. Is it that it costs too much? Again, how, or is it the real question, how can you get your entire house the same temperature or comfortable in the winter or summer? Whatever it may be, whatever your lingo is that you're talking to them. I was just kind of playing around with some wording here, but you guys are out there in the field. So that it costs too much, or isn't the real question, how can you filter out the negative impacts of, poor indoor air quality, the smoke, the asthma, so on and so forth. And then number 6 is where you answer the question, like I said. So now we're answering it, and here's where we're giving the facts and the features. Guess what? You mentioned your family's health. You mentioned poor indoor air quality, concerns about off-gassing, hot or cold spots, the in-law suite being way too hot in the summer. Here's what's great about that. You mentioned that it seems pricey. Well, the good news is we have a payment plan. You can still have the benefits of blah, 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 right? The health and safety of your family, the comfort and enjoyment of your home. We offer a payment plan so that doesn't have to impact your family's monthly budget, right? You can have that, I don't know if you guys, how you offer like your payment plans or whatever, but you can have that conversation around that. So again, here's where you're going to solve the problem. You will no longer have hot or cold spots in the home. You'll have better temperature control, better sleep with your windows closed, better filtration system to filter out the indoor toxins. If it's a modulating furnace, well, I would say lower bills, but after our conversation last week, that kind of threw some of this stuff out.
Constantly say
Yeah.
lower natural gas costs.
Yes, there you go.
It is, if everybody's familiar with the saying, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
Like, the truth is, they will save money on natural gas.
Yes. Okay. Is it true though too that for the electrical side of it, it's like the modulating furnace? So I just popped in my head that it's like the cost of a light bulb.
I don't know. Good question.
I just heard that a long time ago. That was on a York brochure like 20 years ago. I don't know, 15 years ago.
A lot of it depends on like how they operate their furnace.
Okay.
People run their furnace 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Right? If they run it on schedule, there's a lot more like if you go from like not running your mid-efficient furnace fan, right, to running your high-efficiency fan 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I'm not confident that that's money savings.
Yeah.
And if I could like, you get into like
Yeah.
math, well, how often does your furnace fan run?
Yeah.
So, but you can very confidently say that like on a unit-by-unit basis, you'll save money on natural gas.
There you go. I like that.
Right?
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. There you go.
Like, I mean, running your fan relates to indoor comfort and air filtration.
Yeah.
You have to move air to filter it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do air filtration save money? Or air filtration systems save money for people?
No.
No. They
No.
do not.
No.
Right? Does like a steam humidifier save people money? It definitely does not.
Nope.
Like, those are indoor comfort and lifestyle quality products. If you're uncomfortable in your home,
Yeah.
to solve that problem, it does not save you money in the long term. Right? This is about being comfortable in your home.
I love that you said indoor quality, like lifestyle products. Yeah. Exactly.
Lifestyle products.
Yep.
Like, you like having dry skin.
Yeah.
Some people don't care, and other people hate it.
Yeah.
Like, well, buy a steam humidifier.
Yeah.
Like, you have allergy issues. Yes.
Yeah.
Buy like a Lennox S series like air cleaner.
Yeah.
Air cleaner.
Yeah.
Do that. Feel good in your house.
Yeah,
You
but-
wanna feel good in your house? No,
Get a
not
steam.
really. Okay, well then don't spend money on that.
Yeah.
Like,
Have a
you
ton
can
of
get
hardwood floors and $100,000 guitar collection. Put a steam humidifier in. Yeah.
And all these people object. Well, it's going to cost me a lot of money to run. Yeah, it's going to cost way more money than a humidifier if it doesn't work.
What they said in the meeting was, does a 1042 flow through humidifier do anything?
No. No. Like,
Yeah.
why pretend that it does?
Yeah.
Right? And then that's what, like, just like going back, how do you indent your trust in people? Right? It's like, well, yeah, I read online that like this humidifier is going to keep like, or like humidify my house. Right? Because 1042 says it online.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, but you need a heat pump. Do you want to heat your house like when it's like 14 degrees outside? Well, no.
Yeah.
Right? And then let them sit with that. And say, are you saying that it doesn't work?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
I think the manual says it works better when you hook them up with hot water.
Yeah.
Which, why do you want to dump hot water down the drain?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many ways, and that's where you really like carve out that like what does a client turn to Wheeler for? They're turning to us for expertise, a real like actual field knowledge.
Yeah.
Homeowners are literate enough; they can Google furnace, they can Google humidifier, they can read the brochures, right? And these brochures are written by like salespeople and psychologists to try to like to kind of trick people into buying
Yeah.
something.
Very much so. Yeah.
And so we're that intermediary in between, like the homeowner who isn't sure whether this is going to be a good product for them or not, knowing that the vast majority of information they're going to find on their own is designed fundamentally to confuse them and to trick them and to scare them.
Yeah.
Right? And so like your guys'
Yeah.
interactions with clients, you're spot on. They
Yeah.
need tons of trust.
Yeah.
Right? And when you tell
Yeah.
somebody that no, this isn't going to save you money, yes, it's going to work, and it's going to cost you long-term like money to maintain. They go, oh, but it's going to humidify my house, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's going to humidify the shit out of your house.
Yeah.
And they go, all right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they get excited about it.
Yeah.
And then when you go back a year later and charge them $300 and some to replace the humidifier canister, you can ask the question, hey, what was it like going through winter with your humidity above 12%? Right?
Exactly.
That's where that, like,
Yep.
you tie back in that congratulations and future pace. Like, if you're really dialed in, if you actually authentically care about your client, you will remember why they made that decision.
Yeah.
And they appreciate that. I had that conversation with Ellen DeLaury.
Very much so.
Called in and saying, yeah, my skin's really dry. And then following up that conversation after we fixed your humidifiers of like, oh, hey, did that fix your problem? And she's going, yeah, it's a little bit creepy that you remember that after our skin, but appreciating that
Yeah.
conversation and that it was remembered of like, oh yeah, that was my number one complaint. Yeah, it's so much better.
Well, it shows they're more than just a transaction, right?
Right? 'Cause why do people buy things, Simon?
For comfort.
Yeah, they buy on emotion.
Yeah.
Right? I have dry skin. Can you solve my dry skin problem?
Yeah.
So we solve it, and they go, hey, how's your skin? I'll be enough, it's great.
Yeah. Because they're not used to that.
The products we supply are highly personal products.
Yeah.
Right? Most people are running around talking about how their kid has like horrible like issues and can't sleep in their house, right? They don't talk about how like during summertime they have no options because they can't go outside or they can't stay
Yeah.
in their house, right? And
Yeah.
Like, and so that's that blend between like that's where your knowledge and experience truly does matter. And then going back to the long-term value that Wheeler provides.
Yeah.
Like, there are just not that many companies who try to maintain a relationship in excess of 15 and 20 years.
Yes.
Right? So we get the full run through from like installing the appliance or like the lifestyle product the very first time, servicing it on an ongoing basis, replacing it if they want to, or sometimes not. Right? And you get that full life cycle experience. So when the client goes, John, what would you do if it was like what type of humidifier would you put in your own house? Well, if humidity was important to me, right, which it isn't, I put in a steam humidifier. Like, and that's gonna like I ask you, do you like getting donuts?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, enjoy it. Right. Spend like 20 minutes in the shower.
Yeah.
Right. Or I don't like donuts. Right. I don't like dry skin. Well, my door not closing. Yeah. Like I've got like $298,000 worth of wood product in my house. Well, you need a steam humidifier. Yeah, but they're expensive. Not compared to $298,000 worth of wood product.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's you can have those conversations with people because
Yeah.
you're truly solving problems for them that they don't know, and you can't tell the difference. Like if I read a 1042 description and a stabilized description, as a layperson, I can't understand really the difference except the square footage difference.
Oh, okay.
Right? But if I live in a 1700 square foot house, I come to the conclusion that a 1042 is fine. Right? You read the sheet, it says it is. It says it's fine. Right? So it's fine.
says gallons a day, but that has nothing to do with how much is getting transferred into the unit, right?
Right.
Gallons a day, absolutely. What's it based on?
How much is flowing through.
Yep.
And that you have a heat call.
And that you have a what?
A heat call.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna pop out like 18, like you can get 18 gallons of humidity out of this. But you have to have a heat call for 24 consecutive hours. Well, won't my house be like 38 degrees? Oh yeah. Open a window. Yeah, open
Yeah.
a window, right?
Yeah. Open a window.
That means you gotta have some fun with your knowledge.
Yeah.
Because the manufacturers aren't lying, or they get in major trouble for lying.
Yeah.
If they're not lying, a humidifier can produce that. The real world application of practicality of it is just not reasonable.
Yeah.
Right? So we get to know those things. Like another problem you guys probably don't know about, but if you get a steam humidifier in the shoulder season in a tight house, the humidifier heats the house past the set point. Yeah.
Yep.
So then you have to sit in front of the cloud. So you're telling me I have to cool. If I want to humidify my house, I have to cool it when the temperature outside is 8 degrees. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Like, in order to create steam, you need heat.
Yep.
It goes into the house. If the amount of heat that it uses produces more heat than the heat loss of the house, it is going to raise the inside temperature.
Yeah.
That's just math.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it is a fact. Like, what do you want to do? Like, open a window? Like, you gotta find a way to do this. But
Yeah.
you know where I learned that? Paul Lazard. Oh, really? Yeah. I learned a lot of that guy's house. He doesn't use us anymore. Probably goes back to what you were alluding to. If we're learning a lot of lessons at one person's house, it's
Yeah.
probably not a great thing.
Yeah.
Right? But his house was built super tight. He wants to keep his house at 40%.
Mm.
And his thermostat kept overshooting, and he refused to cool the house or open a window.
Oh, wow.
And then we discovered those people aren't wheeler clients.
Yep.
Right? When you want to argue like math and physics,
Yeah.
pretend that they don't exist because you live in a $4 million home. Like, we're good. We're not that good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good that you said those aren't Wheeler clients too, because not everybody is. It's
They're just not like wheeler
yeah.
clients are real. Like they understand reality.
Yeah.
Right? Like this humidifier will heat your house. Well, John, that's not acceptable. Like I get it. It's going to do that.
yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, and so like that's where like the Rebels are great. They live in reality.
Mhm.
It's a very different reality, but like you can talk to them as normal human beings.
Yeah.
Right? Like, are you saying I have to replace all 4 of my chillers because 2 of them are broken? Like yes, I
Yeah.
know, but the right call is to replace all 4. How many weeks or how many years do you want to go into cooling season and your house not cool?
Yeah.
If you've been through 8,
Oh.
how many more do you want to go through?
Wow.
Right? You just, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Huh.
and it's very interesting to have those real conversations. We like clients even have real conversations
Yeah.
about reality, like physics, math, heat transfer.
That's good. That's awesome. Yeah. That's great.
Side note, your light bulb thing about the furnace?
Yeah.
A 100-watt light bulb is around 0.8 amps an hour.
Okay.
And the furnace is, unlike load setting, is probably around 1. So it's a little wrong, but it's close.
Okay. I was just curious. I just remembered that from reading a brochure like years ago.
But I mean, like a 100-watt light bulb.
Yeah.
Is, like not existent anymore.
Yeah. That's good. Huh.
Easy
Thanks.
bake oven. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, easy bake oven.
Dollar store, because I just bought one.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then step 7 was again the congratulate and future pace. Like I said, whether this isn't for objection handling, I would do this with definitely every job you saw. You know, like here's a simple one too. I'm curious, do you see how this unit will benefit with all these features? And you can go into some of those if you want. Will benefit you. How does this benefit your comfort of your family over the next 12 to 24 months? And then zip it and listen. It could be something like, oh, this is great. My daughter, you know, her asthma, you know, I was worried about that. Now it's going to be great. So you want them to tell you, again, what the benefits are. And then there's in your manual, too, is the memorization. At the bottom there, memorization techniques. That's just easy for you because it's easy to memorize once you play around with it. Then when you're sitting there and you have an objection come up, you'll be surprised how quickly you'll be like, oh, okay, ignore it and listen and go through the steps. So I do encourage you to run through this. Next is, we're almost at time here. So what I want to share with you because we're back here not next week, the week after, and it's the Friday from 8 till 3. That's our last in our week 6 in our 6-hour session. So I put these together because you guys have some time. We're going to go over, thank you, welcome, follow-up calls and referrals. That's all the training. It's going to be a light training. And then we're going to be doing a lot of practicing. There you go. So I put these together to give you guys ahead of time. So you actually get a leg up than other people because you get time to practice this. So the very first sheet is the check sheet. So this is what we're going to be going through. Is use your name occasionally. This is going to be a check sheet when we break out into groups. This is what we're going to be looking for, is that you use their name, you gave a compliment, you justified it, asked a leading question, communicated, made a note, whether it's visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. I will have scripts created for you guys. I have them. I'm just tweaking them right now. So we're going to be doing some scripts. And so you're going to be able to pick up on the cues. Use a cushion statement. I'm curious or I'm wondering. Competitive selling. The needs diagnosis questions. The probing questions. Educate with a wow statement. So have a wow statement. Check in. Take their temperature. Objection handling. If objection came up. Mind reading. You may be wondering. Bridge questions. Share products you told them about. End the conversation with a date to follow up. Then a follow-up call. Ask for 3 to 5 referrals. And then set up the appointment with the referral. So we're going to be practicing this next week. Like I said, I'm going to have a script that actually goes through all of this. And what we're going to be doing is we'll break out in groups of 3, just so you know. So there'll be one person, A, B, C. So A will be the contractor, B will be the homeowner, and then C, you're going to have a sheet, a feedback sheet. So you're like the judge. So you're going to watch it. And pay attention to it. So we're going to play around and have some fun with this. I just did it with a group yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. So on the other sheets here are just some examples of some prep work, the complement frame, visual, auditory. It goes into some of the questions. I put all the questions kind of in one area so you can see. Again, this is for you to go through and prep and take a look, but I will have scripts created for you as well. And then there's just, again, I just kind of simplified it all on another PDR sheet. I know I gave you a lot of information because this is the way my brain works. So I know sometimes I can give too much information, but this is just to give you an idea of what we're going to be going through next week. So when we comes to the scripts and you're going through the scripts, it will have all of this in it, outlined in the scripts, just so you know when you're sitting there and going through it, this is what you're going to be running through. Does anybody have any questions? Awesome. And then I'll have a comprehension quiz for you guys next week as well. We'll do a little bit of a comprehension quiz where I'll be asking you certain questions, probably about 9 or 10 questions. I call it the last man standing game. So we're going to have a fire. I'll give you a question. I'll be like, fire, go. And then there'll be prizes. So gift cards. So, and, I guess I need to hand out. And the surveys for today, I'll hand those out. Does anybody have any questions for today? Oh, sorry, I shouldn't like it. Oh my goodness. They're sticking. You're welcome. Actually, here, I'll get you just maybe take one and pass them down on the side. They're all sticky. Okay, we can. Did you get one? Was there? Oh, probably wasn't very many, was there?
Oh,
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
I was not
We're
paying
good.
attention to.
That's okay. Do you have it? You got everybody's going? Keenan, I'll give you mine, just so you have it. It's just got pink paper or pink writing. And there's examples I was playing around with, so you actually get a little bit of. There you go. You're welcome. Ashley, did you want to see the scripts for next week? I'm going to be tweaking them a little bit. I can also email to you in a Word document if you want to make some changes.
Yeah,
Would you want me to do
send it
that?
to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause you-
that would be perfect. And then I can.
I spent forever putting this together, but I was trying to work through the check sheet to get through all the key points. But because you guys are in the house, you know more about what goes on, so you can take a look in. But I
No,
can
but-
email you in a Word doc and
Yeah, that would be perfect.
okay,
That'd be
cool.
great.
Okay.
So to answer that like garbage question we first had where we forgot to, replace the bag in the garbage
Yeah.
after taking it out.
Yeah.
We can say, so sorry to hear about that inconvenience for you. What I'll do for you right now, I'll just go and replace that bag. And there's anything else we can do when we're at it.
There you go.
Right? That's a
Yeah.
good way to answer it.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Yep. Yeah.
Because it clarifies, like, you're going to do what they ask.
Yes.
And getting an opportunity to do more.
Full satisfaction.
And you're acknowledging that it was an upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Own up to the mistake.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's at the end of the day, that's what they want is for you to take responsibility. Is there any key distinctions, takeaways, or ahas from today that anybody wants to share? JP, you got that look on your face?
I like the don't just thank you for your business.
Yeah.
Rather than because often I see other people say, "Oh, thanks for the business," right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the best thing to always answer with.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't mention that. You typically don't want to say thank you because when you think thank you, you're making it sound like you've done a favor,
Or like
right?
we appreciate the business. Or
Yeah, appreciate. Yeah,
Appreciate you.
yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
much better,
Yeah.
right?
Great word.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, but it is like,
Yeah.
Once you play with it and you do it a few times, it feels natural. I know it feels kind of awkward, but it's really good because it feels good to actually have that said to you, right? Like congratulations on a great choice versus thank you for the sale, right? Because it feels like commission breath salespeople say thank you, right? Versus congratulations on a great choice because they made the great choice. It makes it about them, not about you. And that's the whole thing. That's like part of all of this training we're going through. It's about them, right? So yeah, thank you for bringing the thank you up. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it. I was going to say congratulations for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Yeah. Anybody else have a key distinction or a takeaway you want to share? Great questions.
Just really staying away from excuses.
Yes.
Not trying to give them not but this or anything, just.
Yeah.
I'm with you, if I made a mistake, own up to it.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
trying to justify that this or that.
I get an
Yep.
appointment, but
Yep,
I appreciate
thank
the
you.
attention.
You're welcome. Take care. Yeah. That's exactly right. And using I agree or I appreciate and versus but. Yeah. Thank you guys. So I will see you on the 25th. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right.
I was trying to make today so it wasn't too overwhelming. I have a parking lot now that's like advanced training because I was like, this is gonna be too much. I've been tweaking it as I've been going. It's been,
it's interesting. Like everybody comes in at different levels, right, with of experience.
I know.
And trying to build
Well,
from
yeah. Well, and to try and, I've learned so much from you guys and trying to put myself in your place, you know, as technicians and learning about you guys and going, okay, how am I giving too much? Like, 'cause I know for me, I'm like loaded on, right? But it's, yeah, not everybody's that way. And I know even Arthur's like, these sessions could be longer, like 4 hours. And I went back and forth with that. Like I struggled with how long do I make these sessions? What's too long? What's, you know?
3 hours is good.
Yeah.
But like, the other thing too is like just coming from the trades and like sitting down for a long period of time is just not natural.
I know.
Right? Like we're used to being up and about. Like, and I always like to joke, and maybe it's not everybody's experience, but like if sitting down and watching somebody talk to us was that like part of what our goals were, we probably would not be tradespeople.
Yeah.
Like, just
Exactly.
generally speaking, people don't come out of high school. You know what I'd like to do? More classes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to become a plumber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so
Yeah.
it's just finding that balance between like versus like taking like people who more generally work in an office, engineers, lawyers, like people who are sitting at a desk all day, it's significantly more natural for them to be
Yeah.
seated.
Yeah.
Like, how often do you just sit down for 3 hours?
Never,
Yeah.
unless I'm sleeping, I can't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like so that
Yeah.
3 hour. I feel like it is almost like it is the maximum amount of time
Yeah.
an average tradesperson could be expected
Yeah.
to like, and it's a gift that you guys give back that you try to stay engaged because it just isn't natural.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
So why do I all become tradespeople?
Mhm.
It's like, I get to move around. I get to do stuff with my hands.
Yeah.
Be out.
Thank you. I was trying to figure out what kind of game can I throw in with objection handling, just to get you guys up and.
Yeah. It's like I go through my tech group too, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just a challenge, and I think it as like the more of these you do, and the more like the easier it gets.
Yeah.
And that's that practice too, because like how many people have been through something like this before?
Yeah.
You done this before?
Like a training course?
Yeah. Like 8 sessions or 7 sessions, 3 hours
Yeah.
each on a weekly basis to take you out of work, right?
Yeah.
So it's the first time doing it. Like,
Yeah.
it does take practice.
Mhm.
So be patient with yourself too. If you're like, man, I'm bored, is it just me?
Yeah.
No, it happens, right? It's like, man,
Yeah.
I have trouble focusing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real skill, right? And it does take practice to
Yeah.
sit, watch, and listen, and have different takeaways.
Well, and have a couple of takeaways and like take a couple of things each week and implement it, right? You just take a couple of things and implement it because it's practice, repetition, programming, and it's totally different with, like I said, with trades versus like when I do a class and it's a group of salespeople, sales guys that they can do it no problem because that's, you know, and for them it's an 8-week program. You know, we go into more advanced stuff because that's what they do all day. So for them to go in and yeah, it's different, right? So it's been, yeah, bringing it into the service tech side. I love it. I love the feedback from you guys, and I like listening to your stories and having you share your experiences because I learned from that. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah. Cool. Yep. We'll see you on the 25th. Take care. I will. Thanks. It will be a working one. Working trip. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to meet my partner down there and do some training and stuff. Yeah.
And it's just what I'm used to, how I'm used to describing the equipment, so people can find a way to make it with their experience. If I can find a way to bring that sentence in common.
So I'll email those to you.
Yeah, can I keep those ones?
Keep those ones. I have copies. Yeah. I thought all of a sudden it just popped in my head. I thought maybe I should just give them to you to take a look at. Yeah, because we're gonna this is the training, so we're gonna talk about follow up. So that's a script for follow up, and then there's a script for asking the referral. So we're gonna talk about asking the referral, and then calling the referral. These are some examples, and then I get them to write their own as well. These are just guidelines to go by. So and then same thing too. So yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, so I figured we got some time, so you can. Yeah.
Really think about
Yeah, because I was sitting here, I was trying to think on how could I do this, like, because I used a furnace example there. I'm like, so the furnace or an air conditioner is not bad. Some indoor air quality products, like all your stuff. So, yeah. And I was trying, and it's a long call because it's from top to bottom, right? It's from walking in that door to signing. So, and I know not all their calls are going to look like this, but it was just getting in all the points.
And that's a good frame because what I wrote on the feedback thing as well is building that rapport quickly.
Yeah.
Of looking at it, okay, this is start to finish of like ideal situation.
Yeah.
How can we streamline some of those in very direct points to get moving on to the next one in a
Exactly.
quicker manner, but still not feeling pressured or having that warm and fuzzy feeling.
Right. And getting the flow of it.
Getting,
Because of the group that practiced yesterday, it was really interesting because two of them wrote, because I give them the opportunity to just read the whole script if you want. It was just getting practice of the points, right? And two of them read the script really good. And then the third guy up, he was kind of like, he's good up there. He's like, highlighted all this stuff, but then he got up there and he was just kind of winging it. But he fell back, number 7 of, right, dynamics change, old habits. So right away, he ended up talking 80% of the time, barely asked any questions, didn't use her name, and was like going off about the products and all the tech stuff. And I was like, and it's so funny, said Shelly here, I gave her today off because she was here 6 hours yesterday. I'm like, you don't have to come today. But she was sitting there, and I'm looking at her face because she's just like, she's listening to it. And I'm like, see, dude, you lost her. You lost her. You just did the opposite of what I've been teaching you. And he said to me, and it was,
you don't realize it
yeah,
in the moment because you just like that stress.
yeah, and you're used to it. Yeah, but it was interesting because there was only 4 people, so they each went up and did it, and then I gave feedback. So I was making notes and feedback, and so I said, okay, you didn't use her name, did it, and I went up, and I was like, if you're gonna revert back to where all of a sudden you're talking about the equipment facts and features, then ask them, explain why they would benefit from them, and then ask them again, do you see how you would benefit, and get them to tell you. I said, because at least you're getting them engaged. Exactly.
Recognizing, okay, this is the moment where I've gone off.
I've derailed.
How do I make it back? What do I need to do? I need to ask them a question, or I need to reframe.
Exactly. Yeah, and that was a huge awareness for him because he said, I went off this way to try it to see, and he goes, but now it actually goes, it gave him a bigger awareness to what I've been teaching, how that flowed much better. Yeah.
No, that makes
Yeah, because he goes, I was just verbally spewing stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, dude, you went off the rails. So, but he said, he said, what I used to do all of a sudden felt awkward. Yeah.
Good, because then that's like developing that muscle memory again of like how you respond.
Yeah.
And it's that practice that is
Exactly.
that of like, okay, great, that's my new thing.
Yeah.
How do I reframe this? What do I do? Okay, I'm coming back with a question. This is
Yes.
my standard question, right?
Yep.
And even if it's the same question throughout the conversation, it's a standard. It's
Yes.
repeating that, and it's like, okay, great. Like,
Yeah.
Yep, we've handled that. We've moved on. Right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, next one.
Yep.
Great. This is it. Yeah.
Yep.
You just
Yeah.
keep on going back to that, like, okay, how do we bring it back on track?
Yep.
What are your concerns? How do I address them?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's key. What are your concerns? How do we address them? Like for him, he was so busy talking. He's like, I go, dude, you didn't find out what her needs and wants are. You have no clue what the problem
And it's
is.
the same thing. You're too busy talking that you're not listening to it. You're not picking up those cues of like, oh wait, she completely stopped talking, or I'm talking over her, or I've missed that moment in the conversation of really like creating that rapport because I've just bulldozed it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great.
I like the dress. It's pretty.
Thanks. It's nice and it's
I
nice
like it.
enough out. I was like, oh,
I know.
if I put it on today and it rains.
I
it's
like
gonna
the
be
I like the
fall.
little sweater over because I'm thinking it's a beautiful
I
dress.
find that too, but like, it's always tough because you find cute summer things, but they're always
I know all my tops
and you
are
get to
sleeveless.
you get to a certain point where I'm like, I can't wear sleeves because then I get too hot. I know. And it's about finding I finally have like the sweater in like 5 different
Do you? I love it. I was thinking 'cause with going to Vegas, even though I'm going to be indoor most of it, it's like 39 degrees there. So from outside, I was thinking of taking a dress, but same thing, they're sleeveless. So I was going to actually stop on my way home and see if I can find a couple just little. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Arthur, take the muffins with you again. I've given Ashley the scripts for next week or the week after for you guys to take a look at and tweak. And I'll like I said, I'll email them in a Word document so you can.
Yeah, that
Obviously, email would be
go over.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll copy on the email. I gave her hard copies, but I'll copy you too on the email.
Practice.
Yeah.
We normally do.
Yeah.
I mean, we usually write like emails or go over conversations. It's
Yeah.
pre-game it.
Well,
Talking
and for the
to-
training, like I don't normally create scripts like the big one for the follow-up calls and referrals, yes, but I keep it very basic. But for the big training last week, they just got that PDR sheet and then they had to go through it all. But you know what? They missed half the stuff. So I was like, and then when you said, is it going to be scripts? I was like, I have to create a script because I spent, I can't even tell you how many hours on that because I was trying to run through a call plus get everything. And then I thought, yeah, so definitely your feedback on that.
Because then the cool thing with the script is that if guys choose it, they can keep the track. What I imagine I would do, or what I've done in the past, is just go through my notebook, scroll through a few things, and just kind of get myself refreshed, then step into a call.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
So,
I like that.
yeah. Just easy way to refresh yourself and get yourself prepared. Sometimes you just need to get yourself in a
Yeah.
different mindset.
Yeah. And even for this, like it's a script from like soup to nuts from beginning of the call. So it's a long one to the end going through it. And then I was having like the homeowner, right? Because one of you will be the homeowner. But even for you guys from that, like there's going to be shorter calls and whatever, and you can play around with it from there.
For sure. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
It's, because even then, even today, like I have two kind of CLZ calls today. And yeah, just as we're going through, I'm just writing, I wrote down some notes, just reminders of like, to ask these questions, be aware of these questions, be aware of some of the things
Yeah.
you mentioned today, just because it's a lot to refresh, there's a lot to remember.
I know.
So unless you're like full on sales and do this
I
day to
know.
day,
I know.
yeah, so,
I know. I was trying to think of a way like, and there's lots of the stuff I've actually taken out that I didn't even teach you guys,
Yeah.
and I put it on what I call my advanced
yeah.
cork board because it's like park place because it is just too much. I would be way
Yeah.
too much for.
Well, the cool thing is like we have a lot of talent. Like I was speaking to one of my guys yesterday about like how much talent we have and the idea of like every technician here is a sales technician. So they're selling and doing the technical work, which is pretty incredible work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool to have. It's hard to find that fine balance of like